Chapter 151. As the river-like five-colored flames burned the origin soul lock, they quickly spread forward and went down the neck of the Soul Hall Grand Empyrean. Soon, the latter's entire body was swallowed by the five-colored flames. Under everyone's shocked gazes, the Soul Hall Grand Empyrean struggled painfully under the five-colored flames. His expression was extremely distorted. "You can't kill me. I am the Soul Hall Grand Empyrean, and also an elder of the Soul Clan. If you kill me, the Patriarch will not let you off." Within the sea of flames, the Soul Hall Grand Empyrean no longer had his initial arrogance. Only fear remained in his eyes as he looked at Chu Bei. Chu Bei ignored the Soul Hall Grand Empyrean and allowed the five-colored flames to continue burning. Seeing that Chu Bei showed no signs of stopping, the Soul Hall Grand Empyrean's expression became sinister. He ignored the five-colored flames and madly charged at Chu Bei. At the same time, his body began to swell. "Self-destructing your soul body? Pointless struggle." Seeing the Soul Hall Grand Empyrean's intention, Chu Bei's eyes narrowed and he clenched his right hand. Immediately, the river-like five-colored flames gathered around the Soul Hall Grand Empyrean. Rumble! It was also at this moment that the Soul Hall Grand Empyrean's physical body and soul body exploded at the same time. The sad thing was that the terrifying energy produced by the Soul Hall Grand Empyrean's self-destruction was like a dud in the huge five-colored fireball. Looking at the five-colored fireball in front of them, the third and fifth Empyreans looked at each other. There was clearly a trace of fear in their eyes. However, before they could escape, the five-colored fireball burned through the void and instantly arrived before them. They wanted to break through the void, but the void had collapsed. They could only watch as the five-colored fireball swallowed them. Gradually, the five-colored fireball dissipated and the battlefield became quiet. The temperature in the air dropped until it returned to normal. Seeing the end of Chu Bei's battle, the Burning Flame Valley disciples were stunned at first. Then they cheered. As for the Soul Hall experts, when they saw the first Empyrean, third Empyrean, and fifth Empyrean being killed one after another, they clearly became terrified. There was no longer any fighting spirit in their eyes. "Kill everyone from Soul Hall!" Tang Jin's vigorous voice reverberated throughout the entire Burning Flame Valley. Tang Jin took the lead to attack a Soul Hall protector after his dignified voice sounded. 15 minutes later, all the battlefields in the Burning Flame Valley quietened down. "Boss Chu, thank you!" After dealing with all the Soul Race invaders, Tang Jinfei returned to Chu Bei's side. After thanking him, he said, "Let's begin the transaction." After he finished speaking, Tang Jin's right arm shook, and a ball of silver flames slowly flew out from his palm. As the flames rose, 9 silver fire dragons could be vaguely seen jumping up and down. These 9 fire dragons seemed to possess intelligence. Some dragon might even spread from them, causing one's spiritual strength to feel a little pressured. Chu Bei looked at the silver flames, nodded in response, and then waved his sleeve. A golden disc with a diameter of 1 meter appeared, emitting a blinding light. At the top of the disc, the words "Mission Roulette" were engraved. Accompanied by a trembling sound, a black vortex appeared in the center of the golden disc. Within the vortex, a strange black light surged out like a river, quickly engulfing the 9-dragon lightning flame. The 9-dragon lightning flame seemed to have sensed danger, but before it could react, it was dragged into the vortex of the golden disc by the strange black light. Seeing this scene, Tang Jin's face was filled with reluctance and shock. Boss Chu has another heavenly flame. Even though it was not the first time they had seen Chu Bei subdue a heavenly flame, Xiao Yan, Yao Qin, and the others were still amazed when they saw it again. This method of subduing a heavenly flame was overbearing and direct. The speed was also extremely fast. "I have accepted the 9-dragon lightning flame. It's your turn to spin the roulette." Chu Bei looked at Tang Jin and explained the rules. Tang Jin nodded, then placed his right palm on the roulette. The needle spun. Ding! Accompanied by a clear sound, the needle landed on a square box. The square box exploded. Among them was a thumb-sized purple spirit pill and a spirit pill. "This is?" Tang Jin was curious. Dozun pill and 9 revolution pill. Chu Bei glanced at the 2 pills and said, "The former can help you break through to 9 stars, and the latter can help you become a 9 revolution 9 stars Dozun." Hearing Chu Bei's words, Tang Jin's face was filled with joy. He carefully received the 2 pills. "The deal is not over yet. You can continue to spin." Looking at the roulette that did not disappear, Chu Bei said. Tang Jin was stunned at first. After he reacted, he quickly placed his palm on the roulette for the second time. The needle spun again. This time, he opened the box to reveal a black pill and a strange red fruit with a spiral on its surface. "Boss Chu, what are they?" Tang Jin impatiently asked. "The former is called the Saint Revolution pill. Consuming it will help you break through to 1-star Doxing. The latter is called the Flaming Fruit. It is a type of devil fruit." Chu Bei calmly looked at Tang Jin and pointed at the red spiral fruit. "You can learn more about it yourself." As his voice fell, Chu Bei pointed his finger and information about the flaming fruit flowed into Tang Jin's mind. Half an hour later. "Thank you, Boss Chu, for giving me this opportunity." After sorting out the information about the flaming fruit, Tang Jin was excited. His excited appearance made it seem like he wanted to hug Chu Bei. After realizing that he had lost his composure, Tang Jin coughed and cautiously received the Saint Revolution pill and the flaming fruit. He was afraid that he would accidentally damage one of them. At first, when he handed over the 9 dragon lightning flame, he was still a little reluctant. However, now that he knew the magical effects of the flaming fruit, his reluctance to part with the 9 dragon lightning flame instantly dissipated. Moreover, he had the Saint Revolution pill. He could directly surpass the semi-saint and become a true Doxing. He had made a huge profit from this deal. 9 dragon lightning flame transaction completed. Host has obtained the right to use a level 10 upper product. At this moment, the mission wheel disappeared and the system's voice sounded in Chu Bei's mind. "Valley Master Tang, since the transaction is completed, we won't stay any longer." After bidding farewell to Tang Jin, Chu Bei and the others returned to the mansion in Tianhuang City. The next day, not long after dawn, Ziyan and He Qing arrived at the All Heavens shop. "This home is still the most comfortable." Ziyan looked around at the familiar surroundings and completely treated this mansion as her own home. "You guys are here quite early." Chu Bei glanced at Ziyan. The more he looked at her, the more he felt that she was beautiful. She had such a graceful figure, but she still had the mentality of a child. "Boss Chu, is it the Dragon Phoenix origin fruit you mentioned yesterday?" He Qing obviously came with a purpose. "Level 9 product, 4 million per try. Go and spin it yourself." Chu Bei was concise and took out the level 9 wheel that he had chosen for Ziyan. The Dragon Phoenix origin fruit was among the products on the wheel. He Qing also took out many valuable Dragon Island treasures from his storage ring. In the end, he spun a total of 10 sets, which cost him exactly 400 million, before the Dragon Phoenix origin fruit was spun out. Chu Bei also received 2 million willpower points for this. Reputation is especially important for a successful businessman. Reputation points interface activated. Host's reputation points in Zhongzhou have reached 90. Upon completion, you will receive a reputation gift pack. Suddenly, the system's voice sounded in Chu Bei's mind. Chu Bei was stunned, and then he quickly opened the system interface. Sure enough, there was a submenu called Reputation Points on the system's main interface. After clicking on it, it was an interface similar to a mission announcement column. The first line was Zhongzhou Reputation Points. Then, there was a number that represented a percentage. For example, Chu Bei's reputation points in Zhongzhou were 61. This meant that 61% of all the people in Zhongzhou, including cultivators and ordinary people, had heard of Chu Bei more or less. Of course, the system's evaluation of reputation points was not only based on people's knowledge of Chu Bei, but also based on everyone's respect for Chu Bei. Behind this number, there was a pattern that looked like a big gift pack. However, the gift pack pattern was gray at this moment. If he wanted to light it up, he had to meet the so-called conditions. In other words, his reputation points in Zhongzhou had to reach 90. Chu Bei thought for a while, and soon an idea came to his mind. Boss Chu, what are you thinking about? We still have to continue spinning the wheel. He Qing's voice brought Chu Bei back to his senses. After obtaining the Dragon Phoenix origin fruit, He Qing spun another 400 million points until Chu Bei's transaction value reached the upper limit. For this, Chu Bei obtained a total of 4 million willpower points. He Qing, I need your ancient dragon clan to do me a favor, Chu Bei said. He Qing was stunned at first, then hurriedly said, Boss Chu, just tell us what you need. We'll do our best. We'll do whatever you ask at all costs. It's not difficult. I just need you to help me spread the news. After all, your clan's talent is the power of space. It'll be faster. Chu Bei looked at He Qing with a smile. When he told the ancient Void Dragon clan what he wanted them to do, not only He Qing, but Zi Yan, Qing Lin, the little doctor, and Xiao Yan also looked shocked. Boss Chu, are you really going to do this? As far as I know, the Hall Master of Soul Hall is at least a 5-star expert. He Qing's eyes were filled with worry. Don't worry about me. You just need to do what I ask of you. Chu Bei continued. He Qing nodded heavily. I'll return to the clan right away and get the Grand Elder to give the order. Void Space, East Dragon Island. What? He wants to bathe the Soul Hall's headquarters in blood. After listening to what He Qing had to say, Qing Shan and Qing Shui revealed astonished expressions. The Soul Hall is just a force on the surface. The Soul Tribe behind him is the most terrifying one. Zhu Li narrowed his eyes and said. He seemed to know something. Grand Elder, then what should we do now? He Qing looked at Qing Shan and waited for his reply. Of course, we'll do as he asks. Furthermore, we must do it perfectly, Qing Shan replied. All right. He Qing nodded heavily. He then gathered all the adult ancient void dragons in the pagoda and told them what to do next. Not long after, several rainbows pierced through the void above East Dragon Island, heading toward the various cities in the central continent, as well as the various major forces. Everyone, please vote. Chapter 152. Middle Ground, Middle Region, Pill City. This was a simple-looking 9-story pagoda. The pagoda had 8 corners, and each corner was formed by 3 intertwining divine dragons. Just looking at it gave off a majestic aura. The unknown metal material could not only release a dazzling light, but it also had bits of blue-green light mixed in. It was like the stars in the night sky. It was very magical. Countless alchemists were sparring around the Pill Pagoda. Rumble! Just as these alchemists were immersed in refining medicine, a loud sound suddenly came from above the Pill Pagoda. Then, a huge crack appeared. Hearing this, the alchemists' hands trembled. Some of them even almost destroyed their spirit pills because of this loud sound. They all looked up. Everyone's expression froze when they saw it. That's the ancient Void Dragon! What's going on? Why is the overlord of the beast race in Pill City? After recognizing the huge creature above the Pill Pagoda, the alchemists' jaws dropped. They looked at each other in shock. Swoosh! 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 More and more figures flew out from the Pill Pagoda. Among them were Xian Kongzi, Xian Yi, and Tian Lazy. May I know why you've come to my Pill Pagoda? Xian Kongzi looked at the ancient void dragon in the sky and frowned. The ancient void dragon turned into a middle-aged man. He first cupped his fists at Xian Kongzi and said, Recently, the Soul Hall has been very active. They've hurt many innocent cultivators. They've even destroyed a force many times. Boss Chu has decided that tomorrow morning, he will destroy the Soul Hall's headquarters alone. If you're interested, come to Tianhuang City's Bluestone Plaza before tomorrow morning. The ancient void dragon's loud voice was like rolling thunder. With the Pill Pagoda as the center, it spread far and wide until it covered the entire Pill City. Then, the ancient void dragon broke through space and appeared in another part of Pill City. He kept repeating the same words. What? He's going to destroy the Soul Hall's headquarters alone. Did I hear wrongly? Boss Chu? Could it be that mysterious merchant who's been in the limelight recently and everyone is talking about him? What's his relationship with the ancient void dragon? In an instant, all the big and small forces, tea houses, taverns, and people on the streets began to talk about it. What do you two think? Xian Kongzi glanced at Xian Yi and Tian Lazy. Of course I have to go and take a look, Xian Yi said. If he can really destroy the Soul Hall's headquarters, that would be for the best. Even if he can't, we can still help him. Just as I thought, Tian Lazy said. Burning Flame Valley. Inside the valley, a group of disciples were still busy cleaning up the aftermath of the battle. Upon closer inspection, these disciples' faces were filled with worry. Soul Palace had invaded, and many of their good brothers had died. They were separated by life and death. Rumble! Another loud sound rang out. An ancient void dragon appeared out of thin air. Before the disciples of the Burning Flame Valley could utter a sound of shock, the ancient void dragon had already let out a vigorous voice that reverberated through the entire valley. The contents of its words were practically the same. After saying that, he quickly disappeared. What was that? I think I've seen it in an ancient book. I remember now. It's one of the 3 overlords of the demonic beasts, the ancient void dragon. Did you hear what he had just said? Boss Chu will destroy the Soul Hall's headquarters tomorrow. Looking at the disappearing ancient void dragon, the disciples began to regain their senses. Tang Jin and Elder Qihua also flew out of the large hall. They were startled as they looked in the direction where the ancient void dragon had disappeared. The other party's words still lingered in their ears. Valley Chief, this Boss Chu is about to attack the Soul Hall. Elder Qihua looked at Tang Jin. Tomorrow morning, gather all the experts above the Dowang class in the valley and prepare to follow Boss Chu to destroy the Soul Hall, this scourge of the Central Plains. Tang Jin's eyes hardened as he gave the order. Sound Valley. It was a dreamlike fairyland. This place was filled with a dense fairy aura. The mountains were green, the valleys were green, the waterfalls flowed, the red-crowned cranes danced, and the longevity apes jumped happily. The top of each mountain was connected to each other. It was like a poem or a painting, causing one to be intoxicated. Hundreds and thousands of disciples were training in the large open ground. The sudden appearance of an ancient void dragon caused the circulation of the Dou Qi within the bodies of the disciples in the open ground to a standstill. The same words drifted within the valley. After which, the ancient void dragon disappeared. It had only been a few seconds. Why did I sense a powerful magical beast aura? What happened? Not long after the ancient void dragon left, a white-clothed figure flew out from deep within the valley. Valley Chief, you have exited your retreat so quickly. An elder stepped forward. I was interrupted by that voice, the white-clothed figure said. Hearing this, the elder hurriedly recounted the matter of the ancient void dragon's arrival to the white-clothed figure. Valley Chief, what do you think? After speaking, the elder asked the white-clothed figure. Naturally, we must go. If this Boss Chu is really able to eliminate the Soul Hall, he can be considered the benefactor of the Central Plains. The white-clothed figure focused his eyes as he spoke. 2 hours later. With all the adult dragons on Dragon Island mobilized, ancient void dragons descended from the sky above the various large factions and cities in the Central Plains. Due to the special status of the ancient void dragon in the beast tribe, the various large practitioners even began to guess the relationship between Chu Bei and the other party. As time passed, many experts also began to take action. They headed to the Bluestone Square in Tianhuang City overnight. In an unknown mountain range in the central region. Outside the mountain range, the forest was lush and full of vitality. However, deep within the mountain range, the scenery was poles apart from the outside. The forest was withered and lifeless, and the air was filled with an eerie aura. However, at a glance, there was nothing special about the depths of the mountain range. Whoosh! At this moment, a black figure flew over from afar and landed in a certain location. He opened his right hand and placed it above the void. With a piercing sound, a translucent boundary appeared. Within the barrier, there was another scene. It was a vast plain shrouded in black fog. On the plain, many tall buildings stood in an orderly manner. In the center of these buildings, there was an exceptionally majestic hall. The black fog surrounding it was much stronger than the other buildings. As the black fog surged, it gave off an eerie and terrifying feeling. At this moment, teams of figures with powerful auras were constantly patrolling the periphery of the vast plain. As for the black figure that had just entered from the outside world, he flew straight to the hall in the center. "Has the hall chief come out of his retreat?" The black figure immediately inquired the others in the hall the moment he arrived. At a glance, there were over 50 people in the hall. The weakest among them was a 2-star Dozun. Any one of these Dozuns could establish a top-tier faction in the Central Plains. The hall chief and deputy hall chief are still in a retreat. The Hall of Souls' honorable elders in the hall frowned when they heard the black figure's question. "Did something happen outside?" The black figure had a grave expression. He paused for a moment before telling them about the shattering of the first Tianzuin, third Tianzuin, and fifth Tianzuin soul jades, the ancient void dragon, and Chu Bei's plan to destroy the Hall of Souls headquarters tomorrow. "The first Tianzuin and the other two have been killed. Was it done by that so-called boss Chu? If that is the case, won't his cultivation be at least a 3-star Doshing? Why is it that our Hall of Souls intelligence network does not have any information about him? Could it be that he is a member of the remaining 7 clans? Humph. No matter what his background is, I want to see how he will massacre our Hall of Souls tomorrow. What I don't understand is that the ancient void dragon has always hated humans. Why would they pass on information for this fellow? Currently, all the large factions in the Central Plains are aware of this. It is likely that many old faces will arrive tomorrow. This is just as well. It saves us the trouble of defeating them one by one." The Hall of Souls' honorable elders in the hall revealed ferocious expressions. Central Plains, Gu Realm. Unlike the headquarters of the Hall of Souls, this Gu Realm was truly a separate world. It was so large that it left one speechless. At this moment, a purple-clothed young lady was happily walking on a quiet mountain path. "Father, I am back." The purple-clothed young lady paused her footsteps. Her face was filled with joy as she waved her hand at the end of the path. A figure stood with his hands behind his back at the end of the mountain path. Looking from a distance, he gave off a contradictory feeling. He was clearly standing there, but he also felt that they were tens of thousands of kilometers apart. "Why have you thought of returning? Do you not want your Xiaoyan Jiji?" A voice that contained some jealousy exploded in the sky like thunder. However, it was not difficult to hear the joy in the voice because of the young lady's return. The next moment, the figure at the end of the mountain path had already appeared in front of the purple-clothed young lady. Fog lingered around the man's body. At first glance, he appeared like an ordinary middle-aged man. He was wearing simple linen clothes and a doting smile hung on his face. He gave off a feeling that he was easy to get along with. However, if an elite Dozun or even an ordinary elite Doshing were present, they would discover that they would feel an unknown pressure when facing this middle-aged man. Gu Yuan, the clan leader of the Gu clan, one of the 8 clans on the continent. He was an advanced 9 stars Doshing, an expert who truly stood at the peak of the Do-Chi continent. "Father, you have been teasing me since I have returned." Xiao Suner glared at Gu Yuan. "Have you returned to quickly raise your strength?" Gu Yuan smiled as he looked at Xiao Suner. It was as though he had seen through the purpose of Xiao Suner's return. Xiao Suner was stunned as she looked at Gu Yuan. Her mouth was wide open. "Father, how did you know? Your brother Xiao Yan has met a benefactor. His cultivation has already stepped into the Do Huang class. You, on the other hand, are merely a Do Ling. In order to follow in his footsteps, you will naturally need to quickly raise your strength." The corner of Gu Yuan's mouth was lifted into a smile. "Father, you already know." Xiao Suner was surprised. "I also know that the person who gave Xiao Yan the opportunity is going to flatten the headquarters of the Hall of Souls tomorrow." Gu Yuan adjusted the corner of his clothes and added in a faint voice. "What? Boss Chu wants to go against the Hall of Souls." Has he gone crazy? The Hall of Souls does not lack elite douxings. Xiao Sun's expression changed when she heard Gu Yuan's words. She was not worried about Chu Bei. Instead, she was worried about her brother Xiao Yan. She knew that Xiao Yan had also gone to the central region to look for Chu Bei. If Chu Bei were to die, it would have nothing to do with her. However, if Xiao Yan was also implicated. No! Thinking of this, Xiao Sun looked at Gu Yuan and hurriedly begged. Father, I beg you to arrange for an elder in the clan to protect brother Xiao Yan. I am afraid that something will happen to him if he stays by Boss Chu's side. Girl, your understanding of Boss Chu is still too little. Even in my clan, I'm afraid that there are very few people who are stronger than him. Gu Yuan patted Xiao Sun's head. Father, what do you mean by this? Has Boss Chu become so strong? Xiao Sun did not know much about the recent events in the central region. Her understanding of Chu Bei was still at the level of being able to kill the Hall of Souls protector. The Hall of Souls' first Tianzuan and second Tianzuan have both died in his hands, Gu Yuan said calmly. Chapter 153. What? He killed the great heavenly venerate of the Hall of Souls. Xiao Sun had a look of disbelief. Doesn't that mean that he is also an elite douxing? Gu Yuan nodded and said, he should be a veteran douxing. Father, did you know him in the past? Could he be an elder from the other clans? Xiao Sun's eyes flickered as she guessed. Gu Yuan shook his head. There is no such person in our clan's information. Father, no matter what, Boss Chu is going to the headquarters of the Hall of Souls. Brother Xiao Yan will definitely follow him. Xiao Sun stepped forward and pulled Gu Yuan's arm, shaking it. Father, just arrange for an elder from the clan to go and take a look. It has already been arranged. Gu Yuan glanced at Xiao Sun and said, moreover, it is not just us. There should be people from the other clans present as well. After all, they are all very curious about the background of this merchant who has appeared out of nowhere. Tianhuang City, All Heaven Shop. Boss Chu, the news of you flattening the headquarters of the Hall of Souls tomorrow has already spread like wildfire in the Central Plains. Venerable Wind looked at Chu Bei and said. After he finished speaking, he observed Chu Bei's expression as if he wanted to see something. What about the movements of the various factions? Chu Bei sipped the tea in his hand as he lifted his eyes and glanced at Venerable Wind. The experts from the Pill Tower and the Burning Flame Valley are heading straight for Tianhuang City. They should be prepared to go with us. As for the other factions, most of them are heading towards the mountain range where the headquarters of the Hall of Souls is located. Venerable Wind summarized the information that Xingyunge had gathered and said, the factions heading straight for the headquarters of the Hall of Souls should be hiding in the dark and observing. From what I see, they are worried that you are not a match for the Hall Master of the Hall of Souls and do not dare to travel with you. They are afraid of getting into trouble. It doesn't matter, as long as everyone in Central Continent knows about this. Chu Bei put down the tea in his hand and said softly, with the 4 million power will he obtained from the ancient Void Dragon clan and the 3 million power of will he had left behind, Chu Bei successfully exchanged for another star of cultivation. Currently, with his 3-star Douxing cultivation and the 6 types of heavenly flames that he had merged, he was confident that he could fight against a 5-star Douxing even without relying on the system. The next day, in a nameless mountain range not far from the central region. Normally, this mountain range was rarely visited by people. Today, however, the flow of people in this mountain range had reached a rather terrifying level. Looking down from the sky, one could see that every mountaintop, mountainside, and foot of the mountain was packed with people. Perhaps it was because they were afraid of the Hall of Souls, but most of these factions only dared to occupy the outskirts of the mountain range. Only a few of the stronger factions dared to occupy the depths of the mountain range. The magical beasts that originally lived in this mountain range might have sensed the unusually somber atmosphere and hurriedly moved away. Do you think Soul Palace's headquarters is really here? There's clearly nothing here. Even the location of a branch hall of the Hall of Souls is so difficult to find. Do you think that the headquarters will easily allow you to see it? You don't say. The depths of this mountain range are really a little strange. The outskirts are clearly filled with lush greenery, but the inner area is completely devoid of life. If I have guessed correctly, the Hall of Souls should have opened up a new realm deep within the mountain range. However, it is blocked by a boundary and we are unable to see it. There were many discussions on the various mountaintops, causing an uproar. Teacher, why don't we head to Tianhuang City and meet up with Boss Chu? On a mountaintop in the inner area of the mountain range, Yunyun looked at the beautiful white-clothed woman beside her and asked, "Haven't you seen the Wind Thunder Pavilion, Huangquan Pavilion, Ice River Valley, Wanjian Pavilion, Sound Valley, Profound Sky Sect? They have all come here directly?" The beautiful white-clothed woman extended her hand and pointed at some of the mountaintops. "Why is that?" Yunyun frowned slightly. "The news that the ancient void dragon has spread is that Boss Chu will flatten the headquarters of the Hall of Souls by himself. If he can really do it, that would be the best." At this point, the beautiful white-clothed woman's eyes focused, and she said in a deep voice, "However, if he is killed by the Hall of Souls Hall Master or other experts of the Hall of Souls, the factions that travel with him will naturally not be able to avoid the revenge of the Hall of Souls. As for those of us who came here alone and stayed far away, we will at most be able to watch the show." "I see." Hearing the beautiful woman's words, Yunyun's expression changed. Clearly, the Wind Thunder Pavilion, Ice River Valley, and other factions had the same thoughts as the beautiful white-clothed woman. "Will Boss Chu really come?" He will definitely come. After all, this is the news that the ancient void dragon personally sent. That is the overlord of the magical beasts. It is impossible for such a large-scale announcement to be fake. Do you think that Boss Chu can flatten the Hall of Souls? The Hall of Souls' recent actions are inhumane and inhumane. Of course, I hope that Boss Chu can eliminate this scourge. However, it is said that the Hall of Souls Hall Master's cultivation has reached a shocking level, so the final result is hard to say. With the flow of time, the number of human figures in this mountain range increased. The discussion also became increasingly intense. The topic was all about Chu Bei's massacre of the Hall of Souls. At the same time, a large group of figures had gathered above the Greenstone Square in Tianhuang City. The Pill Tower's side was led by Xian Kongzi, Xian Yi, and Tian Leizi. There were over 100 people. The weakest among them was a Do Zong. The Xingyunji's side was led by Yao Qin and Venerable Wind. There were also over 100 people. However, their overall strength was a little weaker than the Pill Tower. The weakest among them was a Do Huang. The Burning Flame Valley's side was led by Tangjun. They had the largest number of people. All the experts above the Do Huang class had been dispatched. Other than this, there was another faction. It was a dozen adult ancient void dragons. All of them were elite Do Zuns. "Boss, can we set off?" Ziyan was at the front of the ancient void dragon army. She was ready to move. "Yes." Chu Bei nodded. He rose into the air and took the lead to fly toward the mountain range where the Hall of Souls headquarters was located. On the other side, within a barrier deep within the nameless mountain range, nearly 50 figures were seated in a large hall in the middle of the Hall of Souls headquarters. Each of them emitted a powerful aura. Other than the 24 evil hall right envoys, there were also Tianzins from the Hall of Souls. It could be said that over 80% of the top experts from the Hall of Souls were gathered here. There was still no one seated in the leader's seat. However, a hunchbacked old man with white hair was seated beside it. The old man gave off a mighty aura without being angry. Clearly, he had been in a high position for a long time. "Deputy Hall Chief, when will the Hall Chief exit his retreat?" A Tianzun in the hall looked at the hunchbacked old man and inquired. "The Hall Chief is at a critical moment when he is about to break through. Allow me to meet this fellow who dares to declare that he will destroy my Hall of Souls." The hunchbacked old man narrowed his eyes. His eyes were cold. After his cold voice sounded, he looked at a right envoy of the evil hall and said, "It is very lively outside. How is the preparation of the 10,000 elephant soul-locking formation? It has already been prepared. Once it is activated, none of them will be able to leave. The right envoy of the evil hall was extremely confident. Since that is the case, let's remove part of the barrier first. With so many guests here, as the host, how can we not show our faces? The hunchbacked old man looked outside the hall and sneered. At the same time, in the inner region of the nameless mountain range, Boss Chu has already declared that he will flatten the Hall of Souls. Why is there no movement from the Hall of Souls? Just as the leader of one of the forces finished speaking, the entire mountain range shook violently. Immediately after, a translucent barrier appeared in the middle of the mountain range, where there was no life at all. Then, under countless shocked gazes, a majestic hall slowly appeared. Crack! After the hall appeared, the barrier around it shattered at the same time. Quick, look! Could that be the headquarters of the Hall of Souls? In an instant, countless gazes from the inner region gathered on the hall, which was shrouded in a strange black fog. Hearing the commotion, some of the factions and experts in the outer region could not suppress their curiosity, and continued to approach the inner region. After the hall appeared, several luxurious and exquisite chairs appeared out of thin air in front of the hall. They have come out. Lay the Venerable looked at the front of the hall, where the energy fluctuation had appeared. His eyes hardened. Just as his voice fell, the void in front of the hall suddenly distorted rapidly. Immediately, a spatial crack slowly formed in front of countless pairs of eyes from the various large mountains. Sizzle, sizzle! Dark, cold, black fog surged out of the crack in all directions the moment it was formed. A sharp sound was vaguely emitted from it, causing the experts from various factions to knit their brows upon hearing it. The black fog churned intensely as three figures appeared in front of everyone's eyes. The auras of the three figures were vast and majestic. Even though they were a great distance away, they still caused one to feel terrified. This aura fluctuation, Doshings. They are all Doshings. They are indeed worthy of being the overlord of the Central Plains. Even though the first Tianzuan and second Tianzuan have died, there are still three Doshings. It is unexpected that the strength of the Hall of Souls has reached such a frightening level. Could the old man in the middle be the chief of the Hall of Souls? When the three figures appeared, the expressions of the surrounding experts, including Thunder Zunja, Sword Zunja, and the Valley Master of the Ice River Valley, all changed. Their gazes were fixed on the hunchbacked old man in the middle. A couple of black figures appeared from the crack in front of the hall amid the intense discussion. They landed behind the three figures one after another. All of them were elite Dozuns. When the 50 figures all sat down on the exquisite chairs, the temperature of the entire nameless mountain range became much colder. Even the sunlight that poured down from the sky made people feel a little chilly. The 1 tower, 2 sects, 3 valleys, and 4 pavilions, with the exception of the Pill Tower and the Burning Flame Valley, have all arrived. As the deputy chief of the Hall of Souls, the old me feels extremely honored. The hunchbacked old man's eyes swept over the mountains while he laughed out loud. A powerful voice that contained Dochi drifted over the entire mountain range. Are all of you so anxious to destroy my Hall of Souls? The voice of the hunchbacked old man suddenly became low and deep after his laughter sounded. A dense killing intent covered the entire inner area. Deputy Chief, I'm afraid that you are mistaken. We have no intention of becoming enemies with the Hall of Souls during this trip. We will also not help that Boss Chu. The leader of a faction hurriedly opened his mouth when he saw the eyes of the hunchbacked old man that were cold in the forest. Ha ha! All of you are really scheming. The hunchbacked old man looked in the direction of the Ice River Valley, the Sound Valley, the Flower Sect, and the other top factions. His eyes contained disdain. At the very least, these factions of yours are far inferior to the Pill Tower and the Burning Flame Valley in terms of courage. The expressions of the Valley Chief of the Ice River Valley, the Chief of the Flower Sect, Lay the Venerable, and the others became much uglier when they heard the words of the hunchbacked old man. Do all of you really hope that my Hall of Souls will be flattened by that so-called Boss Chu? The hunchbacked old man suddenly stood up. His cold laughter drifted over the entire mountain range. Just him alone is not qualified. At the end of the day, I still have to thank him. Otherwise, why would all of you gather here? How would my Hall of Souls obtain so many outstanding soul resources? A deep and vigorous voice rang out. Before the experts of the various factions in the mountain range could react, the hunchbacked old man and the honorable elder of the Hall of Souls behind him quickly formed hand seals with their hands. After the two palms spewed out black light beams, they directly struck toward the distant void. Buzz! 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 In an instant, a soul-stirring buzz spread to every corner of the mountain range. In the next moment, the void exploded. Under the horrified gazes of countless experts from various factions, huge black pillars with a diameter of hundreds of meters rose from the ground in the 8 outermost corners of the nameless mountain range. Every huge pillar was surrounded by a sinister and terrifying black gas. Just looking at it would make one's soul feel like it was about to be taken away. Subsequently, pitch-black chains spread out from the 8 huge black pillars. Tens of thousands of pitch-black chains intertwined and collided in the sky above the mountain range. The clear clanging sounds were like demonic sounds from hell, striking the souls of everyone present. In a short moment, these pitch-black chains formed a huge chain net that sealed off the entire nameless mountain range. Even the gaps between the intersecting chains were covered by a black light film. It could be said that it was airtight. What is the meaning of this? We are only here to watch from the sidelines, yet you do this. Aren't you afraid that we will follow Boss Chu and attack all of you? A white-robed middle-aged man flew out from the top of a mountain and glared angrily at the hunchbacked old man. A mere 9-star Dozong actually dares to be so arrogant in front of me. Is the headquarters of the Hall of Souls a place where you can come and go as you please? The hunchbacked old man glanced at the white-robed middle-aged man with disdain. After his dense cold voice sounded, he waved his right hand and a thick chain fell from the chain net above the mountain range. In an instant, it pierced through the middle-aged man's chest. After which, the black gas on the chain surged. The white-robed middle-aged man did not even have the time to let out a miserable shriek before his soul was pulled away by the thick chain. After which, he was tied to the chain net above. Damn it! I really did not expect that the Hall of Souls would attack us. Plans are indeed not as fast as changes. This Hall of Souls simply does not place us in their eyes. They are not the least bit afraid that we will attack and help Boss Chu. Damn it, if I had known earlier, I would have gone to Tianhuang City to meet up with Boss Chu. After witnessing the death of the white-robed middle-aged man, the experts from various factions revealed some regret on their faces as they looked at the chain great array in the distant sky. They thought that they had planned everything out well. Unexpectedly, the Hall of Souls did not play by the rules. The expressions of Lei the Venerable, Sword Venerable, the Flower Sect leader, and the others became even uglier. Chapter 154. The situation is not right. Withdraw first. The gazes of countless experts within the mountain range were thrown towards the spiritual bodies that were tied to the metal chain net. Fear began to surface in their eyes. A moment later, a couple of long rays of light shot past each mountain. However, when they were less than 10 meters from the metal chain net, a frightening black glow suddenly erupted from the metal chain net. The frightening energy shook them until they flew backwards. Even elite Dozuns only discovered that the space of this mountain range had been sealed by the energy of the metal chain net after attempting to use a short-distance spatial displacement. Why is it like this? The last time we were in the ancient remains, we managed to escape with great difficulty. Now we are once again in such a dangerous situation. Damn it, the more one fears death, the easier it is to be placed in a dangerous situation. If we had known earlier, we would have learned from the burning flame valley and followed behind Boss Chu. We should not have come to join in the fun. Now we might even lose our lives here. Don't worry. As long as Boss Chu arrives, we will still have a chance to escape. I am only afraid that the Hall of Souls will strip our spiritual bodies before Boss Chu arrives. On the various large mountains, it was not only the experts from the ordinary factions who had become panicked. The Ice River Valley, the Flower Sect, the Profound Sky Sect, the Wind Thunder Pavilion, and the other top factions within the Central Plains, clearly revealed a terrified expression on their faces. Deputy Hall Chief, I am curious about something. Why is your Hall of Souls gathering so many powerful spiritual bodies? The chief of the Flower Sect looked at the hunchbacked old man. When this question was asked, Lay the Venerable, the Valley Chief of the Ice River Valley, and everyone else present looked at the hunchbacked old man. Their eyes were filled with curiosity. Forget it. In any case, all of you are about to die. Since this is the case, there is no harm in telling all of you. The hunchbacked old man's eyes glanced indifferently at the chief of the Flower Sect, Lay the Venerable, and the others. He said, All of this is for the legendary realm. The legendary realm? Don't tell me that it refers to the Do D class. Everyone present revealed stunned faces when they heard this. However, all of you will not be able to wait until the time when my clan's Do D appears. The hunchbacked old man spoke again and said, But you don't have to be afraid now. Before I strip your souls, I'll let you see with your own eyes how Boss Chu dies at my hands. At the same time, not far from the mountain range, Chu Bei and the army behind him stopped in the void. Boss Chu, Soul Palace seems to have made a move. Venerable Wind pointed at the chain formation that covered the entire mountain range and furrowed his brows. Those fellows probably never thought that not only did their wishful thinking fail, but they even put themselves in a dangerous situation. Tang Jin let out a cold laugh. Boss, are we going to break the formation now? Ziyan looked at Chu Bei and asked. There's no rush. Chu Bei's lips curled into a smile. Let's wait and see first. The reason he wanted to flatten Soul Palace wasn't to benefit Central State, but to open the prestige gift bag. Since it was reputation points, it would be best for him to appear when everyone needed him the most. Wait and see? Confusion appeared on the faces of Ziyan, Xian Kongzi, Xiao Yan and the others when they heard Chu Bei's reply. However, seeing that the other party had no intention of breaking the formation, they could only quietly watch together. With the passage of time, an hour quietly passed. At this moment, the experts from the various large factions in the mountain range were incomparably anxious. The Soul Palace honorable elders in front of the hall also showed some irritation on their faces as they frowned. Is that fellow who threatened to destroy my Soul Palace coming or not? Could it be that the ancient Void Dragon clan is tricking us? Black Chi surged out from the body of a Soul Palace honorable elder, as killing intent faintly spread. The ancient Void Dragon is the overlord of the beast race. They won't do such a meaningless thing. Don't be anxious, wait a little longer. The hunchbacked old man sat on a chair and spoke with half-closed eyes. Time flowed like water, and another 2 hours passed. It's been almost 4 hours. Why hasn't Boss Chu appeared yet? Could it be that he is afraid of the Hall Master of Soul Palace, and changed his mind at the last moment? Do you guys think that this is a trap? Now that I think about it, the ancient Void Dragon is a beast race. They have never interacted with humans. Why would they move out on such a large scale for this information? Could it be that they are aware of the recent actions of the Soul Palace and have gathered information regarding Boss Chu? Thus, they purposely spread the news in the name of Boss Chu to trick us into coming here so that the Soul Palace can kill us? From what you have said, it seems that this is possible. In this way, they can use the Soul Palace to wantonly weaken the strength of our human race. If this is really the case, I will not let those despicable evil dragons off even if I become a ghost. More and more experts began to become restless, especially when they looked at the chain formation above. The fear on their faces became even greater. Vice Hall Master, should we continue to wait? An honorable elder respectfully asked the hunchbacked old man. Forget it. Since they don't dare to come, let's get rid of these fellows first. The hunchbacked old man opened his eyes and glanced at Lay the Venerable, Sword Venerable, and the others again. They have helped us greatly. Otherwise, it would have taken us some effort to obtain so many excellent souls. After speaking, the hunchbacked old man stretched his body. Clearly, he had waited for too long and could not sit still. Attack! When the hunchbacked old man's cold voice sounded, all of the Soul Palace's upper echelons on the chairs, including him, shot into the sky at the same time. In the next moment, these figures intersected with each other until they each took a position. Large amounts of black gas began to surge out of their bodies. Clang clang amidst the frightening sound of metal rubbing against each other. A pitch-black chain appeared behind these figures at the same time and connected to the huge chain net above. Soon, the chain net that enveloped the entire mountain range began to tremble and sway. In an instant, a series of ear-piercing screeches spread out. Following which, this enormous chain net appeared to have become a living thing in front of a countless number of horrified gazes. It multiplied endlessly. The number grew from 10 to 100, then from 100 to 1,000, and finally to tens of thousands. An uncountable number of dark black chains fell from the sky and covered every corner of the mountain range. The continuous sound of intertwining collisions was like a group of demons dancing wildly, causing one's heart to palpitate. Seeing this scene, even people as strong as Lay the Venerable, Sword Venerable, and the valley chief of the Ice River Valley became extremely uneasy. Their frowns became increasingly deep. They had experienced the Hall of Souls formation once when they were in the ancient remains. However, the formation back then did not have any effect on them, elite Dozuns. However, this large chain formation, which was formed by 3 Doshings and dozens of elite Dozuns, caused them to feel a sense of danger. No, don't. The first chain that fell swiftly wrapped around the head of a 7-star Dozone amidst the terrified cries. Within a couple of breaths, it had successfully hooked his soul out. After which, his soul was tied to the chain net above, just like the 9-star Dozone from earlier. Before everyone could recover from their shock, another miserable cry was emitted. Following which, a third cry, a fourth cry, until various miserable cries spread through the air. Experts with the cultivation of the Dozun class could still entangle with the soul-hooking chains for a while under the precondition that they were prepared. As for those experts below the Dozun class, even 9-star Dozones did not have any ability to resist in front of the soul-hooking chains. If this continues, our strength will sooner or later be exhausted. That's right. Even if we die, we must drag them down with us. The experts above the Dozun class in the inner area of the mountain range swiftly communicated with their eyes. After which, with Lay the Venerable, Sword Venerable, and the others in the lead, they pounced toward the Hall of Souls' honorable elders in the sky. A pointless struggle. The hunchbacked old man glanced at Lay the Venerable's group with disdain. After which, he turned his head to look at the couple of honorable elders beside him. His eyes indicated for them to intercept and kill Lay the Venerable's group. They continued to control the 1,000-elephant soul-locking formation. 9 sections of the soul chain. After receiving the hunchbacked old man's order, a portion of the honorable elders immediately went to meet Lay the Venerable, the valley chief of the Ice River Valley, and the others. Rumble. A huge battlefield appeared in the distant sky amidst a series of collisions and explosions. However, due to the support of the 1,000-elephant soul-locking formation, the Hall of Souls' honorable elders clearly possessed an overwhelming advantage in a battle of the same level. The many deep-colored chains in their hands had become powerful killing weapons. Lay the Venerable, the valley chief of the Ice River Valley, the Flower Sect chief, and the others were forced to retreat. The battle situation was becoming increasingly dangerous. Don't tell me that we are really going to die here today? How hateful! To think that I've calculated everything, but in the end, I've fallen for this little trick that I thought I had. This is ultimately a world where the strong prey on the weak. I, the leader of a faction, have actually ended up in such a miserable state. What ridicule! Who would have expected that our final destination would be to become someone else's stepping stone to the Do-D class? If we had headed to Tianhuang City first, we would not have ended up in this situation. Within the mountain range, the experts from the various factions dodged the soul-attracting chains while uttering regretful words. Your Hall of Souls actions have become enemies with all the factions in the Central Plains. There will come a day when you will disappear from the continent. The Venerable's expression was gloomy to the extreme as he watched an increasing number of Wind Thunder Pavilion's elders having their souls extracted. Before that day arrives, our Hall of Souls will have already ruled the entire continent. A Hall of Souls honorable elder let out a cold laugh. Gradually, the miserable cries and terrified screams on the battlefield began to calm down. The number of souls on the chain net and the sky increased. Each of them were like newborn silkworms. Reel in the net! The crooked old man lifted the corner of his mouth and revealed a sinister smile as he watched the remaining dozoons struggling below. His cry had just sounded when all the experts controlling the large formation, including him, pressed their hands down at the same time. Immediately, one could see the large chain formation that covered the entire mountain range begin to sway and shake. It emitted a strange buzzing sound. Almost at the same time, the many silkworm-like souls began to struggle and twist in pain. It was as though they were suffering from unbearable torture. However, just as the tens of thousands of souls were about to be swallowed by the large formation, a wave of high temperature suddenly attacked. Chapter 155. Rumble, rumble. Suddenly, an unusual change occurred outside of the large chain formation. A river formed from 6 different colors flowed above the large formation. What is going on? Such an unusual phenomenon has never occurred since the Hall of Souls took root in this mountain range. Flame, that is a flame formed from 6 different colors. This aura is formed from the merger of 6 different types of heavenly flames. In the sky, the experts from the Hall of Souls, including the hunchbacked old man, were initially stunned when they saw the unusual change above them. They frowned when they sensed the aura of the 6 different types of heavenly flames. He is here! On the other hand, lay the Venerable, Sword Venerable, and the others revealed joyous expressions when they saw the river formed from 6 different types of heavenly flames above their heads. The sudden appearance of the river of flames caused the few remaining battlefields in the sky to enter a temporary halt. Regardless of whether it was the leaders of the top factions bitterly holding on, the Hall of Souls Right Envoy, or the Tianzuan, all of them lifted their heads in unison. Hall Chief, the 1,000-elephant soul-locking formation seems to have lost its effect. A Hall of Souls Zun elder seemed to have sensed something. His expression became ugly. Ever since the 6-colored river of flames appeared above them, they had lost control of the chain formation that had shrunk in an instant. The process of swallowing the souls that had begun naturally stopped. The tens of thousands of souls also stopped struggling. Their expressions had become relaxed. All of them even began to sway toward the 6-colored river of flames above them, as though they were asking for help. The hunchbacked old man did not reply. He only frowned and watched the distant sky with a grave expression. He had sensed a frightening aura from the 6-colored flames that caused him to feel uneasy. The 6-colored river of flames began to churn in front of everyone's shocked eyes. Soon after, 2 enormous fire palms were extended from it. These 2 giant palms were also formed by 6 different colored flames. What is it trying to do? The experts from the Hall of Souls frowned as they watched the 2 enormous fire palms extend from the river above them. Chi. The speed at which the enormous palms were extended was extremely quick. In an instant they landed on the chain net that covered the entire mountain range. In the next moment, the 2 large hands crossed each other. They appeared like they were tearing apart cotton as they forcefully tore apart the incomparably hard chain that the elite Dozun was helpless against. The 2 flaming palms did not disappear after tearing apart the net of chains. Instead, they were raised and slammed down again. With this slap, the tens of thousands of bound souls were quickly freed from the net of chains by a terrifying force, and they flew toward the hollow bodies below. Then, the 2 flaming palms clung onto the chain net. The shredded chain net was ignited like straw and quickly disappeared under the 6-colored flames. It's alive! If it wasn't for those 2 flaming palms, I'm afraid my soul would have been destroyed. This feeling is like walking through the gates of hell. I really don't want to experience it again. After the souls of tens of thousands of powerhouses returned to their physical bodies, their expressions froze for a moment before their empty eyes regained their luster and were no longer cloudy. After rejoicing, the tens of thousands of powerhouses raised their heads to look at the two flaming palms in the sky. Their fearful expressions were filled with gratitude. Deputy Hall Chief, the 10,000 elephant soul-locking formation has been destroyed. Those elite souls have once again returned to their physical bodies. The Hall of Souls Tianzuan's expressions were unusually ugly as they watched the souls of the powerhouses below recombine with their physical bodies. Since you have already come, why are you still hiding? The hunchbacked old man coldly stared at the six-colored flame river in the sky that was emitting a high temperature. A cold snort sounded and a majestic black chi surged out of his body. His aura suddenly soared at this moment. Dark clouds surfaced under the six-colored flame river just as the hunchbacked old man's cry sounded. Following which, a deafening roar of thunder appeared. Numerous thick lightning bolts flickered repeatedly with the sound of electric currents. A dragon roar sounded and an enormous black figure emerged from a gap that was densely covered by lightning from the churning dark clouds. Ancient Void Dragon! A Hall of Souls Zun elder exclaimed when he recognized the enormous black figure. His voice contained some surprise. It's here! It's finally here! Ancient void dragons flew out one after another from the gap in front of the shocked eyes of a countless number of people present. Within a short couple of seconds, the distant sky was filled with dozens of adult ancient void dragons. These ancient void dragons lingered in the air and blotted out the sun. A large area of black light completely isolated the light in the sky above the large hall. An orderly dragon roar drifted through the empty space. A supreme dragon might spread. Even someone as strong as a Do Zong felt an inexplicable fear rise in his heart when he was stacked on top of each other. Those weaker Do Huangs and Do Wangs felt their blood churn and they could not stand steadily. Why are there so many of them? The expressions of the experts from the Hall of Souls became increasingly grave as they looked at the dozens of ancient void dragons above. Before the people below could recover from the shock of seeing the ancient void dragon, several more figures walked out of the pitch-black spatial rift. That is Elder Xian Kong Zi from the Pill Tower. There is also Xian Yi and Tian Lei Zi. The three great heads of the Pill Tower have all come. Valley Chief Tang from the Burning Flame Valley and Venerable Feng from Xinyunge have also come. Ha, if that's the case, the news spread by these ancient void dragons is true. Where is Boss Chu? Why have I not seen him yet? The experts below revealed excited faces as they watched the experts from the Pill Tower, Burning Flame Valley, and Xinyunge walk out of the gap. At the same time, they turned their heads and looked around to search for Chu Bei's figure. Brother Lei, I did not expect all of you to be so afraid of the Hall of Souls. Tang Xin looked in the direction of Lei the Venerable and mocked. However, it seems that the direction of this matter is different from what you have imagined. If Boss Chu had not intervened, it is likely that all of you would have fallen into the hands of the Hall of Souls. Lei the Venerable did not respond when he met Tang Xin's mocking gaze. It was not only him. Sword Venerable, Venerable Acheron, Ice River Valley's Valley Master, and the others all had a look of shame on their faces. The truth was as such. In the previous battle, they had all been seriously injured. If not for the two flaming palms tearing apart the formation, it would not have been long before they would have become bound soul bodies. After the experts from the Burning Flame Valley, another 6 figures walked out of the gap. On the far right was an old man, and beside the old man was a young man. On the left were 3 devastatingly beautiful women. The one in the middle was a young man in his 20s. The young man was wearing an azure long robe. Although he was not the kind of unforgettable handsome, his facial features were as distinct as if they were carved. His angular face could barely be considered a handsome man. Under his sword-like eyebrows, his long and narrow eyes were like gurgling spring water, giving people a sense of unrestrained straightforwardness. Judging from the position of the 6 people, the other 5 were clearly led by the young man. Look! Boss Chu has come out! He is indeed the one who saved us! Seeing Chu Bei arrive, the expressions of the countless experts in the mountain range were excited. Their excitement was evident in their words. "You are the one who repeatedly obstructed the plans of my soul hall and even threatened to flatten my soul hall?" The hunchbacked old man looked at Chu Bei expressionlessly. Cold in the forest voice was filled with killing intent. Facing the hunchbacked old man's gaze, Chu Bei did not reply. Instead, he focused his eyes and looked at the surrounding calm space. "You can be considered to be standing at the peak of the continent. Isn't it a little unreasonable to hide in the dark like this? Since you are all here, why don't you all come out and show your faces?" Chu Bei's voice was indifferent. Hearing Chu Bei's words, the hunchbacked old man and the other honorable elders of Soul Hall were first stunned. Then, they hurriedly extended their soul perception to the maximum. Indeed, under their deliberate investigation, they detected the faintly discernible energy ripples in the surrounding space. What does Boss Chu mean? Could it be that there are other factions hiding around? What does he mean by standing at the peak of the continent? Could it be that there are even more terrifying factions above the one hall and one pagoda? Just as the experts in the mountain range were puzzled, circles of spatial ripples appeared in different directions in the space. Then, in front of everyone's eyes, 3 to 5 people walked out of these spatial ripples. Ancient Clan, Yan Clan, Yao Clan, Shi Clan, Ling Clan, Lei Clan. The hunchbacked old man's gaze swept across the 6 figures that appeared out of thin air. After speaking of the factions behind these figures, he frowned. People from the ancient races. Looking at the experts above, the Valley Master of the Ice River Valley, the Sect Master of the Flower Sect, Lei the Venerable, and the other leaders of the top factions were filled with shock. Ancient races? What is that? On the surface, the one hall, one pagoda, 2 sects, 3 valleys, and the square pavilion are the strongest factions in the continent. In reality, this is not the case. The ancient races are far more powerful than them. However, they live in a small world that they have opened up. They are extremely low-key and do not interact with the outside world. The ancient races refer to the 8 races that have given birth to elite Dou-Di in the ancient times and possess the Dou-Di bloodline. In the mountain range, while some experts were puzzled by the 8 ancient races, there were also experts who answered their questions. I really did not expect that. Even you have been alerted. The hunchbacked old man narrowed his eyes and said in a deep voice. Haha, we have only heard the news and are here to join in the fun. Just treat it as if we do not exist between you. A red-haired old man from the Yan clan stood in the air and said with a smile. Blue-purple flames danced around his body as he moved. As his voice fell, the red-haired old man looked at Chu Bei. It is really hard to imagine that you alone possess 6 types of heavenly flames. This is more than the total number of heavenly flames that my clan has. I am also very interested in your heavenly flame. Chu Bei sized up the red-haired old man and said with a smile. Judging from the aura of the blue-purple flames on the surface of the old man's body, it was clearly a type of heavenly flame. If the system had issued a mission to snatch the heavenly flame, he would have snatched the other party's heavenly flame without hesitation. Yao Qin, it has been a long time. You have disappeared for dozens of years. Everyone in the clan thought that you were dead. It is unexpected that you are still alive. An expert from the Yao clan looked at Yao Qin and said. Hearing the words of the expert from the Yao clan, Xiao Yan immediately looked at Yao Qin. His eyes were filled with astonishment. Chapter 156. Although I was born in the Yao clan, I have nothing to do with it. Yao Qin opened his mouth and said after sensing the gazes of Xiao Yan, Little Doctor, and the rest. I will explain the reason behind this when I have the time. Yao Qin, I am talking to you. Did you not hear me? The expression of the old man from the Yao clan became ugly when he saw that he had been ignored. Ever since I left the Yao clan, I have nothing to do with you. Yao Qin lifted his eyes and calmly looked at the old man from the Yao clan. It is not up to you to decide whether you have anything to do with me or not. Since I have met you here, I will bring you back to the clan. The old man from the Yao clan spoke in a cold voice. Boss Chu, please, I understand. Yao Chen threw his pleading eyes at Chu Bei. Before he could finish speaking, Chu Bei nodded. Yao Chen, do you want me to attack? The old man from the Yao clan moved after a cold snort sounded. At this moment, countless pairs of eyes, including the experts from the Hall of Souls, landed on the old man from the Yao clan. After all, most of the people present had just learned about the ancient clan. They were naturally unwilling to miss the opportunity to see the other party attack. The expressions of Lei the Venerable, Sword Venerable, and the rest changed when the aura of the old man from the Yao clan was unleashed. The other party was an elite Dou Xing. The old man from the Yao clan appeared within 10 meters of Yao Chen after taking a step forward. He lifted his right hand and a majestic Dou Qi surged. I am not willing to intervene in the matters of your clan. However, Yao Chen is one of my customers. He has followed me on this trip and I have the obligation to ensure his safety. However, Chu Bei's calm voice sounded just as the old man from the Yao clan was about to slam his palm down. His voice was filled with a dense majesty. A terrifying aura that looked down on the world caused one's heart to involuntarily tremble. In the next moment, the huge six-colored flame palm that was suspended a short distance away trembled. The temperature in the air rose once again. Soon after, a finger-long mini-fire snake escaped from the huge palm. Accompanied by a deep sonic boom, the mini-fire snake pierced through the void. At the same time, the space in front of the elder from the Yao clan wriggled, and a mini-fire snake appeared like a ghost. Looking at the sudden attack, the old man from the Yao clan was stunned. The next moment, the old man from the Yao clan subconsciously withdrew his hand, which was originally aimed at Yao Chen. He reflexively used it to block in front of him. Majestic Dou Qi spluttered out of his palm and agglomerated. It swiftly transformed into a substance like black shield. Qi! The mini-fire snake slammed into the shield formed by the old man from the Yao clan. A sizzling sound rang out as the miniature fire snake pierced through the shield before piercing through the elderly man's palm like a bolt of lightning. Looking at the mini-fire snake that was getting closer and closer to his glabella, the old man from the Yao clan quickly raised his right hand and punched out. Bang! The mini-fire snake disappeared. However, the right fist of the old man from the Yao clan was charred. Even his bones could be clearly seen. If you continue to attack, the Yao clan will have one less Dou Xing. Just as the old man from the Yao clan was forcefully enduring the searing pain on his hand and preparing to attack Chu Bei, the latter's dense cold voice sounded beside his ear. The body of the old man from the Yao clan was startled when he heard this. He hesitated for a moment when he met Chu Bei's eyes before letting out a cold snort. You should understand that there is always someone better than you in this world. Becoming enemies with my Yao clan is not the right choice. The old man from the Yao clan coldly looked at Chu Bei after returning to his original position. Are you threatening me? Chu Bei once again looked at the old man from the Yao clan. Murderous intent surged within his eyes. The old man from the Yao clan glanced at the six-colored flame palm that was trembling intensely a short distance away. His expression was incomparably ugly. He wanted to say something but hesitated. In the end, he chose to remain silent. The expression of the hunchbacked old man from the Hall of Souls had clearly become a little more grave after seeing the old man from the Yao clan being defeated by Chu Bei. Chu Bei ignored the old man from the Yao clan. Instead, he looked at the group of experts from the Hall of Souls led by the hunchbacked old man. Rumble, not far away, two huge six-colored flame palms moved and faced the group of experts from the Hall of Souls. Seeing this, the group of experts from the Hall of Souls quickly retreated. They stared at the six-colored flame palms with incomparable fear. Deputy Hall Master, I'm afraid we have to ask the Hall Master to come out of his seclusion. An honorable elder came to the side of the hunchbacked old man and said, We might be able to take him down if we combine our strength. Boundless pitch-black Dou Qi surged out of the hunchbacked old man's body after his voice sounded. The other experts from the Hall of Souls understood the hunchbacked old man's intention and shouted one after another. Just like the hunchbacked old man, rolling Dou Qi quickly surged out of their bodies. At a closer look, the pitch-black Dou Qi released by these experts from the Hall of Souls quickly turned into countless soul shadows. These soul shadows formed a strange formation in the sky with the hunchbacked old man at the center. After which, they knelt down with pious faces and emitted ear-piercing soul sound waves from their mouths. Worship of 10,000 souls! Countless soul sound waves agglomerated in front of the hunchbacked old man and turned into a solid sound wave arrow. From the beginning until the end, the hunchbacked old man's eyes were firmly locked onto Chu Bei. The moment the sound wave arrow was formed, he waved both of his hands. Immediately, the sound wave arrow shot toward Chu Bei's direction. Wherever the arrow passed, it would be accompanied by the sound of souls crying out in all directions. Even though it was merely the aftermath of this sound wave arrow, the faces of those Do Zones and initial Do Zuns below paled. A mouthful of fresh blood was spat out. What a frightening soul attack! Even people as strong as Lei the Venerable, Sword Venerable, and the others felt their auras become chaotic when they were swept by the aftermath. After sensing the terror of this sound wave arrow, they hurriedly activated the Do Chi in their bodies and firmly protected their soul consciousness. If it was me, I would not dare to receive such a soul attack. An elder from the Lei clan looked at the hunchbacked old man in shock. He did not expect the other party to be able to unleash such a frightening soul attack. Just when the experts of the 6 ancient clans thought that Chu Bei would avoid the attack, the latter did not dodge at all, and there was no trace of panic on his face. At some point, a glaring golden light lit up on Chu Bei's fingertip. Just as the sound wave arrow was about to pierce Chu Bei's forehead, Chu Bei pointed his finger and accurately hit the sound wave arrow. Buzz! In an instant, the golden light on Chu Bei's fingertip expanded and turned into a 10,000 feet large swastika-shaped golden light. Under the golden light of the swastika, the sound wave arrow that was formed by countless soul sound waves melted as if it had met its nemesis. Not only that, after easily destroying the sound wave arrow, the golden light of the swastika pressed down on the hunchbacked old man's position. Before the group of experts could react, the golden light of the swastika had already reached the group of Soul Hall experts. First, the tens of thousands of Soul Hall experts let out a shrill scream and turned into nothingness. Following that, the hunchbacked old man and the other Soul Hall experts spat out a mouthful of blood. In an instant, the hunchbacked old man and the others turned pale. Their bodies swayed as if they had suffered a frightening backlash. What's with that golden light? Not only did it instantly destroy that frightening soul attack, but it also severely injured those fellows from Soul Hall. The 6 ancient clans experts looked at each other and frowned. When they looked at Chu Bei again, there was confusion in their eyes. Boss Chu has the upper hand. Haha, looks like we might really witness the destruction of Soul Hall today. I'm inexplicably excited when I think of this malignant tumor being removed from the continent. Damn it, I almost died in their hands twice. Although the people below did not know what had happened after seeing the hunchbacked old man being injured, it was enough for them to know the outcome. Immediately, all of them revealed an excited and joyous expression. What have you done to us? The hunchbacked old man took out a couple of crystal-clear medicinal pills that were emitting a rich medicinal fragrance from his storage ring. He continuously threw them into his mouth. At the same time, his eyes stared intently at Chu Bei. The 10,000 soul worshipping was his strongest soul attack. It was comparable to a top Tian class Do technique. It was a move that he had learned by absorbing a countless number of high-quality soul bodies. Moreover, it had merged with 2 other Doshings and a couple of Do Zuns when it was unleashed. Without any preparation, even a 5-star Doshing would be seriously injured. It was even possible for him to be killed. Earlier, this soul attack had clearly arrived in front of the other party. However, it was easily destroyed by the golden light at the other party's fingertip. The moment he was hit by the golden light, the countless dead souls that he had hidden in his body for many years all dissipated. Even the natal soul lock was destroyed at the same time. This was also the reason why he was instantly seriously injured. This move is called the Light of Judgment. The corner of Chu Bei's mouth was lifted into an arc. This was a rank 10 lower grade product that he had exchanged for. Although its killing strength was only ordinary among rank 10 products, it was extremely useful in dealing with soul attacks. After his smiling voice sounded, Chu Bei suddenly looked at Lei the Venerable, Sword Venerable, and the others. Those who are not from the Hall of Souls should immediately leave this mountain range. In 3 minutes, regardless of life or death. An indifferent voice that did not contain any emotion was spat out from Chu Bei's mouth. It reverberated in every corner of the mountain range. Hearing this, the countless experts in the outer regions of the mountain range exchanged glances with each other. Without any hesitation, they immediately rose into the air and flew into the distant sky. Within a couple of breaths, there was no one else in the mountain range other than the people from the Hall of Souls. "What are you planning to do?" The hunchbacked old man frowned and questioned Chu Bei. "Don't you know the purpose of my coming here today?" After his indifferent voice sounded, Chu Bei waved his right hand and the Hall of Souls barrier that was hidden in the void below was completely exposed. Rumble. As the 6-colored fire palms slammed down, the Hall of Souls barrier suddenly shattered. Immediately after, a large number of pavilions with the hall below as the center appeared in everyone's sight one after another. Among them, the thousands of Hall of Souls experts below were clearly visible. They were looking up at the sky with extremely heavy expressions. At this moment, the Hall of Souls headquarters was completely revealed. Rumble! At this moment, a strange buzzing sound drifted from the sky. Then, under countless shocked gazes, the 2 6-colored fire palms hovering in the sky slowly merged together. The terrifyingly high temperature burned the void. After the 2 giant palms merged, they gradually formed an incomparably huge mountain. Different from the color of the mountain range below, this was a mountain peak composed of 6 colors that overlapped together, and was completely composed of flames. In particular, the purple-red color was even more terrifying. The flaming mountain peak slowly moved. Wherever it passed, the void collapsed. 6 different fire spirits jumped up and down within the flames, bringing about crackling sounds. When it moved above the Hall of Souls main hall, the flaming mountain peak burned even more fiercely. The flames that extended in all directions perfectly overlapped with the Hall of Souls area below. The formation of this flaming mountain peak directly caused the Hall of Souls area below to become scarlet red. "No, stop!" The hunchbacked old man and the Hall of Souls heavenly venerables saw through Chu Bei's intentions. Their faces were filled with fear. Chu Bei ignored the shouts of the hunchbacked old man and the others. He swung his right hand horizontally. As Chu Bei's hand moved, the enormous flaming mountain peak composed of 6 overlapping colors immediately fell down at a terrifying speed. Boom! In an instant, the Hall of Souls headquarters that had just been revealed, from the outer area to the inner area, including the main hall, collapsed. The Hall of Souls experts in the various large buildings did not even have the time to react. They did not even have the time to let out a miserable cry before they were turned into nothingness by the 6-colored sea of flames. "He can already use the 6 types of heavenly flames to such an extent?" The Yen clan expert was startled as he looked at Chu Bei. His face was filled with disbelief. When the flaming mountain peak suddenly fell, regardless of whether it was the trees or the buildings in the mountain range below, they were all turned into ashes by the fierce flames with a puff sound. In the blink of an eye, the Hall of Souls headquarters had completely turned into a sea of flames. Nothing was left behind. Dead! The Hall of Souls is really dead! Boss Chu has really done it! Other than these Hall of Souls honorable elders, the Hall of Souls experts below have all been buried in the sea of flames. When I think of the Hall of Souls methods earlier and look at the sea of flames below, I feel really good. In the distant sky, the experts from the various large factions looked at the fiercely burning flames below. Their shocked eyes contained excitement. That excited look on their faces made it seem as if this was their masterpiece. The experts from the ancient clans also stared at the 6-colored sea of flames below in disbelief. After exchanging glances with each other, they chose to remain silent. When they looked at Chu Bei again, their gazes contained an indescribable feeling. Clearly, They did not expect that Chu Bei's control over the 6 types of heavenly flames had already reached such an unbelievable level. Although this battle had yet to end, they clearly understood in their hearts that as long as Chu Bei did not die, he would definitely become a target for their research in the future. You will definitely pay the price. In the sky, the hunchbacked old man's pair of vicious eyes stared intently at Chu Bei. His expression was incomparably ferocious. Everything had happened too quickly. He did not even have the time to give the order to flee to the experts from the Hall of Souls below. In just a few seconds, the Hall of Souls, which had been established for hundreds of years and established a great reputation on the continent, ceased to exist just like that. The hunchbacked old man felt hot blood boil in his chest when he thought of all his hard work going down the drain. The murderous intent in his eyes wished that he could pull out Chu Bei's tendons and peel off his bones. Hall of Souls! Tell me, what is going on here? Suddenly, a powerful voice filled with monstrous anger rang out from the fiercely burning sea of flames below. In the next moment, a burly figure flew out from the depths of the sea of flames. With every step he took, the surrounding 6 colored flames would be pushed back. Chapter 157. It was a man in a black robe. His body was sturdy and his face was shrouded in black mist, making it difficult to see his appearance clearly. His voice was powerful and filled with majesty. The experts from the 6 ancient clans frowned when they saw the black-robed man flying out of the sea of fire. Their faces turned solemn. Lei the Venerable, Sword Venerable, and the other experts from the various forces in the sky had a tinge of fear in their eyes. The aura that the black-robed man released was far above the Deputy Hall Master of Hall of Souls. Hall Master, you've come out of seclusion! The group of Hall of Souls higher-ups, including the hunchbacked old man, quickly stepped forward and bowed when they saw the black-robed man. He's the Hall Master of Hall of Souls! No wonder he has such a terrifying aura! Do you think Boss Chu will be a match for him? The expressions of the experts from the various forces in the sky changed when they heard how the Hall of Souls' heavenly venerables addressed the black-robed man. They were originally happy about the destruction of Hall of Souls, but their expressions turned solemn when the black-robed man appeared. They knew that the battle was not over yet. In other words, the battle that would decide the outcome of the battle had yet to begin. Hall of Souls, what exactly happened? Hun Yeshing stared at the hunchbacked old man and questioned him. The hunchbacked old man pointed at Chu Bei and quickly explained what had happened. Hun Yeshing lifted his eyes and looked at Chu Bei after listening to the hunchbacked old man. He could not help but clench his fists tightly. No matter where you come from, even if you have other ancient clans behind you, you'll still die today. Hun Yeshing once again looked at the raging sea of fire before him. His cold eyes were firmly fixed on Chu Bei. The surrounding space was completely distorted by the energy fluctuations that he released. Chu Bei looked at Hun Yeshing. His expression did not change as he opened his hand and clenched it. In an instant, a 6-colored flame prison appeared around Hun Yeshing. Do you think you're the only one who knows how to play with fire? Hun Yeshing did not panic at all as he looked at the 6-colored flame prison. A cold and sinister voice sounded, and an extremely strange suction force suddenly swept out from his body. The indestructible 6-colored flame prison that could even burn the void was forcibly sucked into his body. Hun Yeshing actually has such a technique. Given his strength, it is likely that he possesses an extremely high status even within the Hun clan. Hun Yeshing's technique immediately attracted the attention of the experts from the 6 ancient clans. He actually swallowed the 6 fused heavenly flames. Lei the Venerable, Sword Venerable, and the others were also looking at Hun Yeshing in astonishment. There was disbelief between their brows. The taste of your flames is really not bad. Hun Yeshing hovered in midair and smacked his lips, looking as if he hadn't had enough. Hun Yeshing's eyes were once again fixed on Chu Bei's body after he spoke. Traces of black flames that contained a strange devouring power seeped out from within his eyes. The surrounding natural energy was also continuously sucked into his body at this moment. After which, it was completely devoured by the strange energy that the black flames carried. Don't you find it unbelievable? Hun Nyeshing let out a cold laugh. The dark and cold expression on his face became even more overflowing. You have that six-colored flame, but this chief has an even stronger heavenly flame. Hun Nyeshing slowly extended his hand after his words sounded. A cluster of strange black flames suddenly appeared. The black flames churned and vaguely gathered into a human face. Waves after waves of devouring power surged out from the mouth of the human face. This is the second-ranked heavenly flame on the heavenly flame ranking, the Nihility Devouring Flame. The group of experts from the Yen clan seemed to have recognized the human face the moment it appeared. Their eyes suddenly shrunk to the size of a pinhole. Yao Chen, Xian Kongzi and the rest exchanged glances with each other. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. Yao Lao, is that the Nihility Devouring Flame? Xiao Yan involuntarily exclaimed. From his surprised expression, a great storm had formed on his face. Nihility Devouring Flame, the heavenly flame ranked second on the heavenly flame ranking. Other than the two Shi Ancient God, which was ranked first, no other heavenly flame could compare with it in terms of its mysteriousness. It was rumored that this flame was born from nothingness. It could not be found and could not be grabbed. From a certain point of view, the Nihility Devouring Flame could be considered a relatively mysterious existence. At the same time, it was also known as the thing that could swallow the world. It possessed the ability to swallow everything. Only a few things in this world could contend with its devouring ability. Nihility Devouring Flame. How is this possible? How can he possess the Nihility Devouring Flame? The experts from the other ancient clans quickly identified the strange black flame that Hun Nyeshing controlled. Immediately, an extremely shocked expression surfaced on their faces as they involuntarily muttered. This Nihility Devouring Flame had always only existed in legends. Moreover, it was rumored that the strength of this second-ranked heavenly flame was equivalent to a human high-class Doshing, or even a peak Doshing. From the current aura of Hun Nyeshing, he was at the very most a 6-star Doshing. How was it possible for him to refine such a heavenly flame? It was also because of this that shock rose in their hearts when they saw Hun Nyeshing unleash a dark black flame that possessed the same ability as the Nihility Devouring Flame. The second-ranked heavenly flame Sword Venerable, Lay the Venerable, the valley chief of the Ice River Valley and the others in the distant sky trembled violently. Although they had never seen the Nihility Devouring Flame, they had heard of its legend. It is unexpected that the chief of the Hall of Souls has actually refined the second-ranked heavenly flame. With the help of the Nihility Devouring Flame, do you think that Boss Chu will be defeated? It is difficult to say. It is rumored that the Nihility Devouring Flame possesses the ability to swallow everything in the world. From the looks of it, wasn't Boss Chu's 6-colored flame swallowed by it? If Boss Chu is defeated in this battle, it is likely that none of us will be able to leave. The experts from the various factions watched the situation anxiously. Their expressions became increasingly solemn. Screech, screech, screech! After the cluster of black flame with a human face on Hun Nyeshing's hand swallowed a large amount of natural spiritual aura, the black flame all over its body had become a little more powerful. An excited cry was emitted from its mouth. Today, I will use your blood to feed this little fellow. Hun Nyeshing stared viciously at Chu Bei. Both of his eyes were filled with an intense murderous desire. Forget about this little thing. Even if the real Nihility Devouring Flame were to come, I would not be afraid. The corner of Chu Bei's mouth carried a smile. From his calm and composed expression, it was as though he did not view this Nihility Devouring Flame as a threat. Even the 6 ancient clans, Yao Lao, Xian Kongzi and the others revealed stunned expressions after Chu Bei uttered these words. Yao Lao, what do Boss Chu's words mean? Could it be that it is not the Nihility Devouring Flame? Xiao Yan looked at Yao Chen. Other than the Nihility Devouring Flame, no other heavenly flame could possess that kind of devouring power and that dark black color. Yao Chen shook his head. Clearly, he did not understand the meaning behind Chu Bei's words. Han Yesheng frowned slightly after hearing Chu Bei's words. His hand slowly rubbed the cluster of black flame with a human face on his hand as he coldly said, "You said that this flame of mine is not the real nihility devouring flame. Then what is it?" Chu Bei unhurriedly replied after sensing the confused gazes of Xian Kongzi, Yao Chen, and the others. He slowly said, "This flame possesses a devouring power and cannot be imitated. It is indeed something that belongs to the nihility devouring flame. However, the quality of this flame is far inferior to the second-ranked heavenly flame on the heavenly flame ranking. It is merely the seed flame of the nihility devouring flame." Chu Bei paused when he spoke until this point. Then he added, "What is a seed flame? It is a flame that is separated from the essence flame. The seed flame possesses the ability of the essence flame. However, its strength is much weaker. Simply put, it is the avatar of the heavenly flame." Han Yesheng's expression gradually became distorted after hearing Chu Bei's words. An additional hatred appeared in his eyes. "Han Tiandi, I have followed you for many years. In the end, you are actually using a seed flame to trick me." Han Yesheng's voice was low and deep. Both of his fists were clenched tightly. After forcefully suppressing the fury within his heart, Cold in the Forest stared at Chu Bei and said, "So what if it is the seed flame of the nihility devouring flame? It is more than enough to kill you." Han Yesheng lifted his hand after Cold in the Forest's cry sounded. The human face that was formed by the cluster of black flame on his hand suddenly widened its mouth and ruthlessly bit the back of his hand. Immediately, the dou qi within Han Yesheng's body continuously surged out. Finally, it was completely devoured by the black flame. Han Yesheng's expression gradually became a little pale. That black flame also became increasingly powerful. In the end, it actually emitted a sharp whistle from its mouth. Its head, which was originally only the size of a soccer ball, shook its body and became nearly 300 meters long. In an instant, the black flame churned in the sky. It was as though doomsday had arrived. "Retreat!" The experts from the 6 ancient clans immediately left the battlefield. The experts from the various factions watching the battle in the distant sky felt a chill rise within their hearts for some unknown reason when they saw the 1,000 feet large black flame. The dou qi within their bodies vaguely showed signs of breaking out of their bodies. Hiss hiss. The enormous human face black flame drifted in the sky. Its black hollow eyes stared at Chu Bei. One could occasionally hear the sound of saliva being swallowed. This caused the human face black flame to appear increasingly strange. It was just like a living life form. "Kill him!" Han Yesheng's eyes locked onto Chu Bei. At the same time, he issued an order towards the black flame. Hiss hiss! The human face black flame seemed to have understood Han Yesheng's words. After letting out 2 strange cries, the flame on its body whistled and moved. It quickly penetrated the empty space in a ghost-like fashion. The human face black flame immediately sealed the space around Chu Bei. Subsequently, threads of black fire spread and formed a square-shaped prison that trapped Chu Bei within it. This worry surfaced in the eyes of the experts from the various factions as they watched the scene on the battlefield. They did not expect that Chu Bei had used the 6-colored flame prison to trap the chief of the Hall of Souls. Now, the situation had reversed. The chief of the Hall of Souls was using the black flame to trap Chu Bei. Of course, the thing that shocked everyone present was that the human face black flame was actually able to attack on its own. "If you feel that he is delicious, you can go ahead and swallow him. Enjoy this delicacy to your heart's content." The voice of the chief of the Hall of Souls once again drifted in the empty space. Chapter 158. On the battlefield, the human-faced black flame stared greedily at Chu Bei. Its expression was like a gluttonous child who had seen the most delicious snack in the world. After that, the human-faced black flame circled Chu Bei in a human-like manner. It looked as though it was thinking about where to bite. Screech, screech! Suddenly, The human-faced black flame stopped circling and faced Chu Bei's face. After that, a strange cry was emitted from its mouth. Soon after, a terrifying devouring power erupted from its body. Under such power, even the experts from the 6 ancient clans who were far away had a sudden change in expression. The next moment, under the countless shocked gazes in the distant sky, the black flames on the human face opened its enormous mouth and directly swallowed Chu Bei together with the prison in one gulp. "Boss Chu, he has been swallowed! How can this be? Even the flame seed of the nihility devouring flame is so powerful? In front of the heavenly flame, Boss Chu does not have the ability to fight back? The heavenly flame that can devour everything is really terrifying. It is not something that a human can fight against." Looking at the human-faced black flame chewing, lay the Venerable, Sword Venerable and the rest, who were watching the battle in the distant sky, revealed a terrified expression. "This fellow will not die just like that, right?" The expert from the Yen clan frowned. He had wanted to invite Chu Bei to be the guest elder of their clan. "It is not that he is not strong. It is just that the nihility devouring flame is too terrifying," another expert from the Yen clan said. "Boss will be fine, right?" Little Doctor and Qing Lin's eyes were fixed on the huge human-faced black flame. Their eyes were filled with worry. Xian Kongzi, Tang Jin, Yao Chun and the rest also wore a grave expression. This was because they did not know exactly how many stars Chu Bei's cultivation had reached. Rumble. Just as Xiao Yan and the others were feeling uneasy, the human-faced black flame on the battlefield suddenly stopped chewing. Its originally excited expression also began to disappear. The primordial flame of the nihility devouring flame is no longer moving. Could it be that Boss Chu has already been digested? In the distant sky, the group of experts looked at each other in dismay. Their expressions became increasingly ugly. The stooped old man and the other upper echelons of the Hall of Souls revealed joyous expressions when they saw this scene. As for the spectating experts from the 6 ancient clans, they were neither happy nor worried. There was only some surprise on their faces. After all, no matter which side won, it had nothing to do with them. They were just here to watch the show. "Dying under the nihility devouring flame can be considered a good ending for you." Hun Mieshin glanced at the battlefield. His body swayed as a sinister smile appeared on his pale face. However, just when most people thought that Chu Bei had been swallowed and digested, the black flames on the human face that had calmed down suddenly surged wildly. Immediately afterward, a series of hair-raising hissing sounds came from its mouth. It was not difficult to hear the pain contained in the low hissing sounds. What is going on?" The expressions of countless experts changed once again. They looked in shock at the struggling black flames on the human face. The distorted expression on its face made it seem as if it was experiencing some kind of inhuman torture. The smile on the corner of Hun Mieshing's mouth disappeared. He could not help but frown. The change in the situation on the battlefield was too sudden. Everyone was unable to react in time. They could only continue to stare at the black flames on the human face that was rolling in pain. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. Amidst the strange and ear-piercing burning sounds, the black flames that were originally 100 feet long were shrinking at a speed visible to the naked eye. 800 feet. 700 feet. 500 feet. When the black flames had shrunk to a size of 100 feet, the crowd in the distance was finally able to see the scene at the center of the terrifying black flames. Previously, there was a cluster of 6 colored flames at the innermost part of the black flames. The person that the 6 colored flames had wrapped around was Chu Bei, whom everyone had mistakenly thought had been swallowed and digested. They saw that he was still in the same posture as before he was swallowed. His hands were crossed in front of his chest. There was a faint smile on the corner of his mouth. It was as if he had not moved at all. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The black flames on the human face let out a strange cry again. However, compared to before, the cry now seemed to carry a kind of fear. Pfft! The black flames on the human face opened its huge mouth. It seemed to have used all its strength to spit out Chu Bei, who was wrapped in the 6 colored flames. It was also at this moment that countless powerhouses finally saw Chu Bei's strange appearance. At this moment, in addition to being wrapped in the 6-colored flames, there was also an incomparably huge phantom behind Chu Bei. At a closer look, the phantom was a monster that was more than 200 meters long. Its body was somewhat similar to a lion's. Its entire body was covered in black scales. The scales flickered with a cold light that sent chills down one's spine. In addition, it also had a pair of wings that were at least 300 meters wide. They seemed to be made of steel. There was also a horn that seemed to pierce the sky. The black horn was entwined with golden patterns that spread all the way to its neck, back, and tail. At first glance, its body seemed to be covered in a layer of gold and black armor. The most terrifying thing was its pair of dark golden eyes. It was like the eyes of a god overlooking everything in the world. There was a ferocious look in its eyes. What is that? Why have I never seen it before? Could it be a magical beast from the ancient times? It was not just Yen Zunjie, Lei Zunjie, and the other experts from various factions in the distant sky. Even the experts from the 6 ancient clans were startled when they saw the enormous illusory figure behind Chu Bei. Their eyes were filled with a dense confusion. Elder Heiqing, your ancient void dragon is the overlord of the magical beasts. Do you recognize the huge phantom behind Boss Chu? Venerable Wind looked at Heiqing and asked. Xiao Yan, Yao Chen, Tang Jin, and the rest also looked at Heiqing. Heiqing's gaze was firmly fixed on the phantom behind Chu Bei. After hearing Venerable Wind's question, he shook his head. My clan is the overlord of the magical beasts. We can make thousands of clans submit with just our might. At this point, Heiqing looked at the phantom behind Chu Bei with a hint of fear in his eyes. However, the phantom behind Boss Chu makes me have the urge to submit. Moreover, the feeling that the phantom gives me is that it's still a child. What? Hearing Heiqing's words, Venerable Wind, Yao Chen, and the rest's expressions changed. It was the first time they had heard of a clan that could make the ancient void dragon submit. Roar! Suddenly, the huge monster behind Chu Bei let out a roar. Although it was only an illusory image, the roar resounded in the sky and shook the hearts of all the experts present. Amidst the roar, cold, brutal. This was it, a terrifying existence that no one knew of and had never been recorded before. Hearing this roar, the black flames on the human face on the battlefield quickly retreated and kept letting out strange screams of incomparable fear. Little fellow, didn't you want to swallow me? Why did you run away? Chu Bei looked mockingly at the black flames on the human face. As soon as he finished speaking with a smile, the huge phantom behind him suddenly opened its huge mouth. As it opened and inhaled, the void within 1,000 feet instantly distorted and collapsed. A devouring power that far surpassed the black flames on the human face surged out of the phantom's huge mouth. The moment the devouring power appeared, the black flames on the human face suddenly trembled as if it was suddenly frozen. Then, as if it was out of control, it flew toward the huge phantom's mouth. Screech, screech, screech! The black flames on the human face struggled frantically, and the fear in its cries grew stronger. It wanted to get away from the huge phantom, but the devouring power released by the huge phantom made it unable to resist. No matter how it struggled, it was futile. Seeing this, Han Mieshing hurriedly tried to recall the black flames on the human face. However, the devouring power was too strong, and it directly caused the black flames on the human face to break free from his control. The huge creature behind Boss Chu also has a devouring power. Moreover, it's far stronger than the Nihility devouring flames' devouring power. In the distant sky, countless experts were shocked. Their eyes were wide open as if they had seen something unbelievable. On the battlefield, the black flames on the human face that could devour everything seemed to have met its nemesis. It could not resist the huge phantom at all. Seeing the situation clearly, countless experts were overjoyed. On the other hand, the hunchbacked old man and the other Hall of Souls experts were the opposite. They became extremely solemn. Kaji, 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 the black flames on the human face's cries were filled with fear, and its voice became weaker and weaker. In the end, with a buzz, the black flames on the human face were completely devoured by the huge phantom with the horn behind Chubei. After devouring the black flames on the human face, the huge phantom let out a satisfied roar as if it was extremely satisfied. It's your turn. Chubei's gaze fell on Han Yexing. Don't come over. Looking at the figure that was slowly approaching him, Han Yexing instinctively retreated. His face was filled with fear, and he no longer had the aura of a formidable person. Run! The hunchbacked old man and the other Hall of Souls heavenly masters knew that the situation was hopeless after seeing the black flames on the human face being devoured. After shooting a glance at Chubei, they looked at each other and made the same decision. However, just as they decided to abandon Han Yexing and take the lead to break through the void and leave, a terrifying suction force tore through the void and directly wrapped around their bodies. In the next moment, the upper echelons of Hall of Souls, including the hunchbacked old man, flew uncontrollably towards the huge phantom behind Chubei. Soon after, a similar scene occurred again. The hunchbacked old man and the other upper echelons of Hall of Souls were devoured by the huge phantom before they could even let out a scream. However, this time, the huge phantom did not let out a satisfied roar. Clearly, the huge phantom felt that these upper echelons of Hall of Souls were different from the black flames on the human face from before. I am an elder of the Hun clan. You killed my Hall of Souls experts without any restraint. The Hun clan will not let you off! Han Yexing forcefully calmed himself down. He looked at Chubei and subconsciously mentioned the Hun clan. So what if you are from the Hun clan? Even if Hun Tiandi is here, you will still die. No one can save you. Chubei looked at Han Yexing indifferently. After his calm voice sounded, the huge phantom behind him opened its mouth again. Rumble! There was a loud explosion. With Han Yexing as the center, the space within 100 feet was devoured by the huge black shadow. In an instant, only Chubei and the huge phantom behind him were left on the battlefield. In an instant, everyone's eyes were focused on Wu Fang. No one spoke. It was dead silent. Chapter 159. High up in the sky, the gazes of countless experts were firmly locked onto Chubei, and they were all flabbergasted. It was only after a long while that someone broke the silence. The dead silence was broken, and the clamor reached its peak. It's over! It's all over! Boss Chu really did it! Soul Palace was gone. Soul Palace's Palace Master Hun Ye was dead. Soul Palace's experts were all dead. From now on, Soul Palace is truly removed from the continent. Yes, Boss Chu removed the tumor of Soul Palace. It's a blessing to the entire continent. From now on, we don't have to worry about the soul reaping chain taking our souls. What do you think is Boss Chu's cultivation level? Even the second-rank Nihility devouring flame, which is said to be able to devour everything, was devoured by him. I really want to know what that shadow behind Boss Chu is. Even a warrior as strong as Soul Palace leader couldn't resist it at all. Didn't you notice? When that shadow used the devouring energy, it didn't cause any ripples of Do energy. It's like there's a huge energy that we've never come into contact with before. Whether it was the 6 ancient families, Lei the Venerable, Sword Venerable, and the other powerful warriors, they were all discussing intensely, and the topic revolved around Chubei. At this time, Chubei stood in the void space, looking at the system panel that was constantly increasing his reputation points, and he smiled satisfyingly. The devouring energy he used before was a level 10 middle-grade product, and it came from Swallowing Star Space, from a young golden horn beast. The golden horn beast was the huge shadow behind him, and it was also a one-time consumable. Yao Chen, have you really never thought of returning to the clan? A red-robed elder looked at Yao Chen from where the Yao clan was. Elder Feng, we're all smart people, and you know what happened back then. Was that considered leaving? I was obviously expelled. Do you think I'll go back? Yao Chen was obviously much more polite to this red-clothed elder than the previous one. Yao Chen, let bygones be bygones. The red-clothed elder shook his head and sighed. Old phone, I no longer have any feelings for the Yao clan. Right now, I'm just the pavilion master of Xingyun Ge in the central province. After saying that, Yao Chen cupped his fists at the old man. You don't have to persuade me. Forget it. Since you've already made up your mind to break away from the Yao clan, I'll let you do as you wish. The red-robed old man didn't say anything else. Everyone, the Hall of Souls has been destroyed. It is time to disperse. The huge shadow behind Chu Bei slowly disappeared, and his calm but majestic voice echoed in the sky. Upon hearing Chu Bei's voice, the clamor in the sky disappeared. After exchanging glances with each other, the group of powerhouses simultaneously bowed in Chu Bei's direction. Then, one by one, they turned into rainbows and flew back in the direction they came from. Today, although they had come close to the gates of hell due to the soul-reaping chains, they had come out unscathed. Moreover, they had personally witnessed the destruction of the number one faction in the Central Plains, the Hall of Souls. Their trip was not in vain. The group of top powerhouses from the 6 ancient clans sized up Chu Bei once again. After exchanging glances with each other, they broke through the void and left. After this battle, Chu Bei's name would definitely spread throughout the Central Plains. In the near future, he would become a household name in the entire Do-Chi continent. They had to rush back to their clans as soon as possible and report what they had seen today to their patriarch. 6 hours later. Have you all heard? Boss Chu really flattened the Hall of Souls headquarters. It is said that if he hadn't arrived in time, those people who went to watch the show would have become the souls of the Hall of Souls. It's really a pity that we didn't get to witness Boss Chu's power with our own eyes. After the effect of the tap water, the news of the Hall of Souls headquarters being destroyed quickly spread to all the major cities in the Central Plains. Large and small factions, as well as ordinary people, began to discuss intensely. At the same time, Chu Bei was sitting on a chair in the main hall of his mansion, paying attention to his reputation points. 89, 991, 89. 992, 89, 993. As Chu Bei waited anxiously, his reputation points finally jumped from 89, 999 to 90. It was also at this moment that the reputation gift pack icon behind the reputation points on the system interface turned from gray to colorful. Chu Bei didn't hesitate at all. With a thought, he impatiently opened the reputation gift pack. Host has received a level 11 lower grade offensive item. The specific item can be obtained by fate. Duration 1 hour. The moment Chu Bei opened the reputation gift pack, the system's voice sounded in Chu Bei's mind. At the same time, a colorful square box appeared in front of him out of thin air. It was overflowing with light and was very beautiful. Level 11! Chu Bei was stunned at first. After he reacted, he looked at the colorful square box floating in front of him with a face full of shock and joy. Based on the offensive goods that he had used so far, the strongest grade 10 low-grade offensive goods could easily kill a 3-star Doshing. A level 10 middle-grade item wouldn't have a problem dealing with a 6-star Doshing. As for a level 10 upper-grade item, it should be able to fight against a 9 stars Doshing. The reputation reward was a level 11 item. Although it was only a low-grade item, it should be able to fight against a beginner Do-D. Thinking of the power of the level 11 item, Chu Bei felt an inexplicable sense of pride. Of course, since the level 11 item only had a duration of 1 hour, Chu Bei wouldn't open the square box now. Right now, other than the level 11 square box, he also had the right to use a level 10 upper grade item from completing the 9 Dragon Lightning Flame trade. This was also his current trump card. Boss, what are you laughing at? Sensing Chu Bei's unintentional smile, Qinglin revealed a curious expression. Getting rid of the scourge of Soul Hall in Central State naturally makes me happy, Chu Bei casually said. Boss, someone has sent you an invitation. Accompanied by the sound of footsteps, the little fairy doctor quickly walked into the hall. Following behind her was a green-clothed old man. "Boss Chu, do you still remember me? Previously, I personally witnessed your battle on the battlefield." Once he entered the hall, the green-clothed elder cupped his fist towards Chu Bei. "Someone from the ancient race?" Chu Bei recognized the green-clothed elder, and his eyes were filled with confusion. "Boss Chu, I'm here to invite you to participate in the Void Trade Fair between the ancient races. You're a businessman and this trade fair definitely won't disappoint you." As he spoke, the green-clothed elder took out a purple gold card and handed it to Chu Bei. "Void Trade Fair? Interesting." Chu Bei's interest was piqued as he took the purple gold card from the green-clothed elder. "Boss Chu, tomorrow is the opening day of the Void Trade Fair. If you're free, why don't you follow me to the ancient realm today?" As his voice sounded, the green-clothed elder seemed to have thought of something and said, "May I know if that little fellow Xiao Yan is still in your house? That girl Sun Er is mumbling about wanting to see him." Chu Bei glanced at the green-clothed elder before calling Xiao Yan over. Xiao Yan was unusually excited when he found out that he could head to the ancient realm. "Lead the way." A couple of minutes later, Chu Bei's calm voice sounded. Hearing this, the green-clothed elder from the ancient race waved his hand and cut open the empty space, creating a tunnel in the empty space. Seeing the green-clothed elder's move, a shocked expression surfaced in Xiao Yan's eyes. Clearly, he did not expect the green-clothed elder to be an elite Doxing. Following behind the green-clothed elder, they walked through the tunnel in the empty space. Not long later, the group broke through the empty space and arrived at an incomparably ancient city. In the middle of the city, there was an extremely large lake. The lake appeared clear from a distance, but it gave one a kind of deep feeling when one looked up close, causing one's hair to stand on end. "Boss Chu, this is the place that leads to the ancient realm of our clan." The green-clothed elder pointed at the lake and waved his sleeve after speaking. Immediately, a wave of ripples appeared on the originally calm lake. Following which, an extremely frightening spatial ripple spread from the lake. Chi! An extremely bright light pillar shot out from the bottom of the lake. In the next moment, in front of Xiao Yan's shocked eyes, a black spatial door that led to an unknown deep place slowly appeared within the light pillar. "Boss Chu, please!" The green-clothed elder pointed at the black spatial door in front of them and politely gestured to Chu Bei. Chu Bei nodded in response. Following which, he took a step forward and took the lead to step into the black spatial door. The little doctor, Qing Lin and Xiao Yan followed closely behind. After passing through the spatial door, the scenery in front of the group underwent a tremendous change. Clouds floated in the blue sky that stretched as far as the eye could see. Below them was a green grassland that stretched to the end and swayed with the wind. Further away, one could see many exquisite houses gathered together. It seemed to be a city. "Is this the ancient realm? What rich natural energy! It is at least a couple of times stronger than the outside world." Xiao Yan closed his eyes and inhaled a deep breath of air as he sensed the natural energy around him. He let out an emotional sigh. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Before Chu Bei's group could continue moving, a couple of long rainbows flew over from afar. In an instant, they arrived in front of Chu Bei's group. This was a group of warriors wearing golden armor. When they saw the green-clothed elder, they hurriedly bowed. "They are the guests that I have brought back to the clan. There is no need to check their identities," the green-clothed elder said faintly. "Yes." Hearing the green-clothed elder's words, the warriors in golden armor quickly left. "They are the black submerged army of my clan. They are guarding this ancient realm." The green-clothed elder explained the identity of the previous group to Chu Bei as he led Chu Bei to a central city in the distance. "Big brother Xiao Yan!" The green-clothed elder had just flown into the city. Before he could arrange a residence for Chu Bei and the rest, a purple-clothed young lady flew over from afar. "Sun Er!" Xiao Yan recognized the purple-clothed young lady at a glance. With an excited expression, he said, "You have broken through to the Fighting King realm. I have already said that I have my own ways to quickly raise my cultivation. Xiao Suner held Chu Bei's arm and then looked at Chu Bei. Sun Er greets Boss Chu. After learning that Chu Bei was an elite Doxing, Xiao Suner's attitude towards Chu Bei was very respectful, as if she was facing an elder of the clan. Clearly, in Xiao Suner's eyes, Chu Bei was an old monster who had lived for hundreds or even thousands of years. Finally, Xiao Suner playfully stuck out her tongue at the green-clothed elder. She seemed to be thanking the latter for bringing Xiao Yan back. Quickly look at the sky. Isn't that Miss Sinair? Oh my God! Who is that young man? Miss Sinair is actually holding his hand. Don't tell me that he is that Xiao Yan who grew up with Miss Sinair. It should be. Otherwise, who else can be so close to Miss Sinair? Speaking of which, why did he appear in our Gu realm? It seems that Elder Gu Shan brought him back. Other than Xiao Yan, who are the other three people? In the city, some people noticed Xiao Suner. Especially when they saw Xiao Suner holding Xiao Yan's hand, they could not help but open their mouths and exclaim. In a bar. I really don't understand. Why would Miss Sinair fancy an outsider? A black-clothed man put down the wine in his hand and focused his eyes on Xiao Yan. His eyes were filled with coldness. Sinair has only been with him for a long time. Opposite the black-clothed man was a red-haired man. When he saw that Xiao Suner was holding Xiao Yan's hand, his face became extremely gloomy. I really don't understand why Elder Gu Shan would bring him to the Gu realm. The black-clothed man was puzzled. Find out where they are staying. The red-haired man looked at the black-clothed man and said, In the sky, Xiao Yan seemed to have noticed the envious, jealous, and hateful gazes from the city below. His face revealed some helplessness. Sunair, aren't you making enemies for me? I don't care. I just want to tell those guys that I have someone I like. Xiao Suner said proudly. Then aren't you worried that they will come and find trouble with me? Xiao Yan pointed below. Aren't you with Boss Chu? With him around, who can hurt you? Xiao Suner looked at Chu Bei and said, Boss Chu, I have already prepared a place for you to stay. I will bring you there now. Soon, Xiao Suner brought Chu Bei and the rest to a luxurious mansion in the center of the city. Girl, is this the guy from the Xiao family that you have been thinking about? He is just a Do Huang. I really don't understand what you like about him. Which of the younger generation in the clan is not more outstanding than him? Chu Bei and the rest had just landed in the mansion when a calm voice suddenly exploded like thunder. It sounded in their ears without any warning. Soon after, a middle-aged man who was surrounded by clouds appeared beside Xiao Suner out of thin air. Seeing the middle-aged man, the green-clothed old man bowed slightly. Father, you are not allowed to say that about brother Xiao Yan. Perhaps in your eyes those guys in the clan are more outstanding than brother Xiao Yan. However, in my opinion, they can't be compared to brother Xiao Yan. Xiao Suner glared at Gu Yuan. Her words were filled with resentment. Father? Xiao Yan's expression was suddenly startled when he heard how Xiao Suner addressed the middle-aged man. His pupils instantly widened and he was momentarily at a loss. The middle-aged man in front of him, who looked no different from an ordinary person, was actually Xiao Suner's father, the clan leader of one of the ancient clans, the Gu clan. He possessed the strength of the peak of the 9 stars Doxing and stood at the peak of the fighting broken continent, Gu Yuan. Why? Are you nervous to meet your future father-in-law for the first time? Xiao Yan staggered when he heard Chu Bei's playful words. The corner of his mouth twitched involuntarily. Gu Yuan and the green-clothed old man's expressions also changed. Only Xiao Suner's face revealed a shy expression. Chapter 160. Little fellow, you still have a long way to go if you want to be worthy of my daughter. At the very least, you have to let those little fellows in the clan feel that you are worthy of Sun Er. Gu Yuan glanced at Xiao Yan and spoke in a calm voice. Uncle Gu, I understand what you mean. Xiao Yan cupped his hands together and bowed towards Gu Yuan in an extremely respectful manner. Boss Chu, although this is the first time we have met, I have learned quite a lot about you from Sun Er. Gu Yuan's gaze shifted away from Xiao Yan and landed on Chu Bei. He continued, Now that you have destroyed the Hall of Souls by yourself, I'm afraid that you have already become the focus of the entire central region. The Hall of Souls is inhumane. I have merely removed a scourge from the continent. Chu Bei's gaze met Gu Yuan's. His voice was calm and there was not the slightest trace of panic on his face. The system has detected a probe from Gu Yuan, who is at the peak of the battle-breaking plane. Does the host wish to reflect 3 times the damage? However, just as Chu Bei finished speaking, the system's voice sounded in his mind. Chu Bei was initially stunned. After which, the corners of his mouth lifted slightly and formed a smile. Without a doubt, his answer was yes. It was impolite not to reciprocate. He had also thought that Gu Yuan would probe him. However, he did not expect that Gu Yuan would be so direct and straightforward. He had just finished speaking when he attacked. Bang! Just as Chu Bei made his choice, Gu Yuan, who originally had an indifferent expression, suddenly trembled. A paleness surfaced on his face and a low and deep muffled sound was emitted from his body. A chaotic wild aura surged out from his body and instantly tore apart the surrounding space. If he had not suppressed it in time, it was likely that the mansion and the surrounding space would have collapsed. Father, what's wrong? The sudden unusual situation caused Xiao Sun's pupils to shrink in fright. She hurriedly supported Gu Yuan with both hands. The green-clothed old man by the side also hurriedly stepped forward. Both of his palms were placed on Gu Yuan's body to check the latter's condition. He also poured majestic dou qi into Gu Yuan's body. I'm fine. Gu Yuan stabilized his body, and waved his hand to signal Xiao Sun and the green-robed elder not to worry. After saying that, he slowly closed his eyes and began to adjust his breathing. In just a few seconds, his chaotic aura became stable again, and the torn space around him was restored to its original state. Brother Chu, I was rude. I hope you don't mind. Gu Yuan took a step forward and cupped his fist towards Chu Bei. His voice carried an apologetic tone. Due to the fact that Chu Bei's recent actions were too high profile, he had the intention to test him. However, just as his attack, which was a combination of the laws of space, the Gold Emperor's burning heaven's flame, and his soul consciousness, landed on his opponent's body, it mysteriously disappeared. Not only that, but he also suffered a backlash from his own power. What was most inconceivable to him was that the power of the backlash had increased by a terrifying amount. With a simple test, Gu Yuan knew that the mysterious boss Chu in front of him was much more powerful than the information he had gathered so far. He had even surpassed him. As expected, Chu Bei nodded at Gu Yuan. His expression did not change, and there was still a faint smile at the corner of his mouth. Brother Chu, did we know each other in the past? Gu Yuan asked instinctively. Chu Bei shook his head and looked at the distant horizon at a 45-degree angle. He said calmly, We're not from the same era. How could we have known each other? Before or after? Gu Yuan immediately asked. What do you think? Chu Bei looked at Gu Yuan again and did not answer the other party's question directly. Xiao Sun looked confused as she listened to Gu Yuan and Chu Bei's conversation. Brother Xiao Yan, our father and Boss Chu, I think so. Moreover, it seems like Boss Chu has the upper hand. Xiao Sun was halfway through her sentence when Xiao Yan nodded and finished her sentence. There was a hint of pride in his words. Whether it was Xiao Sun or Xiao Yan, they were both intelligent. From the conversation between Gu Yuan and Chu Bei and the sudden disorder of Gu Yuan's aura, they guessed that the two of them had already fought unknowingly. As for the result of the fight, Gu Yuan's figure retreated, and his chaotic aura almost went berserk. On the other hand, Chu Bei's expression was calm and composed from the beginning to the end, as if nothing had happened. Anyone with a discerning eye could tell who was the victor. Xiao Sun looked at Gu Yuan. Her lips moved slightly, but she hesitated. She would never have thought that the man who had stood at the peak of the continent since she was born would one day be at a disadvantage. Looking at Xiao Yan again, The adoration in the gaze he used to look at Chu Bei was even greater. Ever since he found out that Shao Sun'er's father was a man who stood at the pinnacle of the continent, he had been under immense pressure. He was worried that Shao Sun'er's father would break him and Shao Sun'er up. However, this pressure had been reduced by half in an instant because he had lost. And the person who had defeated him was Boss Chu, whom he was familiar with. "Brother Chu, I'll have a good chat with you when I'm free in the future." After saying that, Gu Yuan glanced at Shao Sun'er again before his figure gradually disappeared into the void. Seeing this, the green-clothed elder hurriedly followed. On a mountain peak, the green-clothed elder looked at Gu Yuan's back and could not help but ask, "Clan leader, have you tested Boss Chu's cultivation? The moment my divine will entered his body, it disappeared inexplicably." Gu Yuan looked into the distance and frowned slightly. "Even you can't test his cultivation?" Seeing Gu Yuan shake his head, a hint of shock appeared in the green-clothed elder's eyes. "Since he's already hidden from the world, why has he appeared recently?" Gu Yuan muttered to himself. Obviously, in his opinion, Chu Bei was in existence from the same era as him, or even older. "Boss Chu, it's time for me to increase my strength." In the mansion, Xiao Yan looked at Chu Bei seriously. Ever since he came to the ancient world, he had sensed the powerful auras and completely realized how terrifying the ancient races were. "Small business, no credit." Chu Bei patted Xiao Yan's shoulder lightly. "Previously, Yao Lao gave me 2 storage rings. One of them has half of his life savings and the other has part of Xing Yunji's foundation." Xiao Yan took out 2 storage rings and said, "Boss Chu, I have some too. I'll give them to Brother Xiao Yan." Shao Sun'er immediately took off the storage ring in her hand and handed it to Chu Bei. After counting the wealth in the 3 storage rings, Chu Bei nodded in satisfaction. Not long after, there were continuous explosions in the mansion. One by one, the boxes exploded. After a long time, Chu Bei had reached the upper limit, and Xiao Yan's cultivation had also increased to a level that he was very satisfied with. Of course, the 3 storage rings were almost used up. Chu Bei obtained 4.5 million willpower points. In addition to the willpower points that he had saved previously, he successfully exchanged for 1 star of cultivation. Now, Chu Bei had stepped into the ranks of a 4-star Do Xing. On the other side, the Hun realm. Like the Gu realm, it was an independent world that was separated from the Central Plains. It was created by a couple of high-class Do Xings. A stream shuttled through the forest deep within a quiet place. Finally, it turned into a silver waterfall that fell into the clear lake below. A figure was seated on the surface of the water at the middle of the lake. He did not move. The ripples that spread out around him would automatically disappear when they were within 10 meters of his body. It was as though there was an extremely quiet aura around his body, which appeared rather strange. "You have come!" The figure on the water suddenly opened his tightly shut eyes. A faint cold glint flashed across his dark black eyes as he looked towards the distant sky. His calm voice had just sounded when the lake water suddenly boiled. Many water dragons rose into the sky. Hun Tiendi, the clan head of the Hun clan, one of the 8 ancient clans. He was at the peak of the 9 stars Do Xing class. Crash, crash. One could see an endless amount of black flame seeping out from the empty space in the sky where Hun Tiendi's eyes were looking. After which, it spread in all directions. The black flame wiggled and slowly agglomerated into a human figure. At a closer look, this figure was surrounded by black flames. Many strange black symbols covered his entire body. A pair of eyes were just like black holes. They were filled with a terrifying, devouring strength. He stood on the black flame and was suspended in the sky. Due to the cover of the black flame, his face was a little unclear. However, as soon as he appeared, an extremely ancient and strange aura quickly enveloped the area. It was different from the seed flame that was swallowed by the golden horn beast. This was the true nihility devouring flame. It was ranked second on the heavenly flame ranking. It was a terrifying existence that possessed the ability to swallow everything. The soul has been destroyed. Life and death. The black flame around the nihility devouring flames surged. He calmly looked at Hun Tiandi on the surface of the lake and said, "My connection with the seed flame has been severed. It should have been refined by someone." "What? The soul has been destroyed? Life and death? Who killed it?" Hun Tiandi's emotions clearly fluctuated after hearing the words of the nihility devouring flame. His eyes hardened and a rich, murderous intent seeped out from his body. The surrounding lake water instantly churned in the face of this terrifying aura. It soared high into the sky, leaving behind an incomparably large lake pit. "A merchant called Boss Chu." The nihility devouring flame continued to speak. "Boss Chu? What is his background? Is he an old fellow from the ancient clan?" Hun Tiandi frowned. His expression was gloomy. "Don't they know that the Hall of Souls is a faction of my Hun clan?" The nihility devouring flame shook his head. "No one knows where he came from. Moreover, he should not be those fellows from the ancient clan." The nihility devouring flame explained all the information he knew about Chu Bei to Hun Tiandi in detail. "He can mobilize an ancient void dragon? Could it be that he is a magic beast?" Hun Tiandi narrowed his eyes. His voice was cold. "Regardless of whether he is a human or a beast, I will make him suffer a fate worse than death for daring to destroy the Hall of Souls." Hun Tiandi seemed to have thought of something after the voice that was filled with murderous intent sounded. He hurriedly said, "Where are those souls that you have painstakingly collected? Although the Hall of Souls has been destroyed, those souls that were collected have all been transferred to the soul world." The nihility devouring flame said, "It is fine as long as the souls are fine." Hun Tiandi's expression became a little more relaxed after hearing this. The thing that he was most worried about did not happen. He heaved a long sigh of relief. "According to the news from the spies that we have planted in the Gu realm, this Boss Chu has already entered the Gu realm. Moreover, he will participate in the void auction tomorrow. I have already asked Hun Chin and Mo to head over tomorrow and meet this fellow." The nihility devouring flame turned into churning black flames and disappeared into the void after his indifferent voice sounded. Chapter 161. Gu Realm. The Central City. A group of warriors wearing black armor walked along the main road on a spacious street. Their sharp eyes were as sharp as an eagle's. The leader of this group was a red-haired young man. His eyes looked forward with an imposing aura. Not long after this group appeared on the main road, they became the focus of discussion among the people on the street. "Quickly look! Black submerged army! Isn't Lieutenant Gu Yao leading the group? Where are they going? Haven't you heard? Elder Gu Shan has brought Xiao Yan to the Gu realm." "Xiao Yan? Is that the guy that Miss Sun Er likes? Ha ha, if that is the case, there will be a good show to watch. Everyone knows that Lieutenant Gu Yao likes Miss Sun Er. Even the older generation strongly agrees. However, Miss Sun Er only talks about Xiao Yan and rejects Lieutenant Gu Yao time and time again. Quickly follow! Lieutenant Gu Yao is leading the group to Xiao Yan's place." Although the sky was becoming darker, the streets had become even noisier due to the arrival of Gu Yao's group. Groups of 3 to 5 Gu clan members gathered together. Saliva flew everywhere as they followed closely behind the group. Not long later, Gu Yao's group stopped in front of a luxurious mansion. "Black submerged army Lieutenant Gu Yao would like to seek guidance from young Master Xiao Yan." The red-haired young man looked at the door of the mansion. A powerful voice immediately drifted through the air like thunder. "What? Gu Yao wants to fight with Xiao Yan? According to what I know, Xiao Yan is only a Do Huang. However, Gu Yao is already a 5-star Do Zun. They are not on the same level. Don't tell me you really think that Gu Yao wants to fight with Xiao Yan? He only wants to use this opportunity to tell Miss Sun Er that he is far stronger than Xiao Yan." The surrounding Gu clan members who were watching the show revealed stunned faces when they heard the red-haired young man's declaration of war. Xiao Yan, your love rival has come knocking on your door. Within the mansion, Chu Bei smiled as he looked at Xiao Yan. I knew it was coming, but I didn't expect it to be so soon. Xiao Yan's face revealed some helplessness, but at the same time, he felt a little lucky. Fortunately, he had already increased his strength through spending money. Otherwise, he would have to deal with the other party first. This guy is really persistent. Xiao Sun's pretty face was filled with anger. With a light snort, he took the lead and flew toward the gate of the mansion. Look! Miss Sun Air is out. Is that Xiao Yan? His looks are just average. He's not even as good as the young man beside him. But then again, who is that young man? When the gate of the mansion opened and the crowd of onlookers saw Chu Bei, Xiao Yan, and Xiao Sun walk out, they started discussing again. Gu Yao, aren't you going overboard? Brother Xiao Yan is now a guest of our Gu clan. Is this how you treat your guest? Xiao Sun stared at Gu Yao angrily. My Gu clan has always respected martial arts. I have come here with the intention of becoming friends with young Master Xiao Yan through martial arts. Is there anything wrong with that? The red-haired young man looked at Xiao Sun Air. His eyes were filled with heat. Looking at the entire younger generation of the Gu clan, he was the best in terms of talent, cultivation. He was also one of the 4 domain chiefs of the Black Submerged Army and had the potential to become the Black Submerged King in the future. In his opinion, the only woman in the younger generation who was worthy of him was Xiao Sun, the daughter of the clan leader. The elders in the clan were very supportive of him being together with Xiao Sun. Even the clan leader of the Soul Tribe did not stop them. However, what made him angry was that he had failed to express his love for Xiao Sun time and time again. The main reason was this guy called Xiao Yan in front of him. You're a man. Are you going to hide behind a woman? The red-haired young man sneered when he saw that Xiao Yan did not express his opinion. Gu Yao, you, Sun Air, he's right. You, as a woman, should just watch from the side. Xiao Sun stared coldly at Gu Yao. Golden flames danced in her eyes. However, just as she was about to say something, Xiao Yan waved his hand and interrupted her. Then, he walked in front of her. Isn't it just a spar? Come on. Xiao Yan looked at Gu Yao calmly. His eyes were filled with confidence. Did I hear wrongly? Xiao Yan accepted the challenge. Does he not know Domain Chief Gu Yao's strength? Does he think that our Gu clan is the same as those outside forces? Why didn't Miss Sun Air say anything to stop him? When the people who were watching the show heard Xiao Yan's words, they were all stunned. Then they looked at Xiao Yan as if they were looking at a fool. Gu Yao was also stunned. His purpose of coming here was to humiliate Xiao Yan. He did not expect Xiao Yan to dare to fight with him. After all, the difference in their strength was too great. However, who would have thought that Lin Fan would accept his challenge without hesitation? When Gu Yao came back to his senses, the corners of his mouth curled into a disdainful smile. When they sensed Gu Yao's aura rising, the people who were watching the show on the street hurriedly retreated. It was as if they were afraid of being affected. In the blink of an eye, only Chu Bei, Xiao Yan, Xiao Sun, and Domain Chief Gu Yao were left in front of the gate of the mansion. Since it's a spar, there's a risk of injury. If I accidentally hurt young Master Xiao, I hope that you won't bear a grudge. Gu Yao looked at Xiao Yan with ridicule. His cold voice sounded and his body emitted an icy aura that was like 10,000-year-old mysterious ice. Almost at the same time, a majestic energy ripple surged out of his body. It was like a vast ocean that surged toward Xiao Yan. Bang! However, before this majestic energy pressure could reach Xiao Yan, an aura fluctuation that was not any weaker than Gu Yao's erupted from the latter's body. Xiao Yan's aura! How is this possible? Do Zun! How can he be a Do Zun? Don't tell me that the information we have been receiving since the beginning is fake? Or perhaps, he has hidden it too well. The expressions of the people who were watching the show suddenly changed when they sensed the aura fluctuation that Xiao Yan emitted. They faced each other, and their eyes were filled with disbelief. 6-star! Gu Yao's expression drastically changed. The disdainful smile on the corner of his mouth disappeared. He had also been shocked. No matter what, he would never have imagined that Xiao Yan was actually 1 star higher than him in terms of cultivation. It is still not too late for you to give up now. Xiao Yan looked at Gu Yao with a playful expression. Arrogant! You are merely a 6-star Dozun. Quite a number of 7-star Dozuns have been defeated by me. Gu Yao's eyes were filled with coldness. Since that is the case, I need not worry about killing you the moment I attack. From the way he saw it, Xiao Yan might be a 6-star Dozun, but his Do technique and Qi method were far inferior to his Gu clan's inheritance Do technique. The empty space in front of the mansion suddenly became icy cold after Gu Yao's cold in the forest voice sounded. His body also disappeared at this moment in a ghost-like manner. He was already in the sky above the mansion when he next appeared. Xiao Yan raised his eyes to look at the sky. Both of his hands were suddenly clenched. The Do Qi within his body surged out without any restraint. The vast and mighty Do Qi carried a hot wind, causing the temperature of the empty space, which had become icy cold because of Gu Yao, to swiftly rise. Soon after, Xiao Yan rose into the air in front of the eyes of the countless number of observing Gu clan members. He faced Gu Yao from a distance. Gu Yao did not say anything when he saw Xiao Yan rise to the sky. Vast and mighty Do Qi swiftly agglomerated on his right fist. After which, his arm shook in a strange manner. It carried an unusually powerful force as it suddenly smashed toward the space in front of him without any fancy moves. Gu Yao's right fist broke through the empty space and was about to ruthlessly strike Xiao Yan when Xiao Yan extended his hand. It carried a sharp blade-like force as it slammed forward. Bang! The fist and palm collided. A frightening energy storm immediately swept apart. Numerous crack lines swiftly spread in the surrounding empty space. The empty space in the middle collapsed and caved in. The powerful force created by the remnant wave swept apart. The members of the Gu clan, who were originally observing the battle, hurriedly flew some distance away. Due to the great commotion, an increasing number of Gu clan members in the city threw their gazes toward the battlefield in the sky above the mansion. Who is Gu Yao fighting with? Is that Xiao Yan, who was brought back by Elder Gu Shan? He is actually a 6-star Dozun. Even the elders of the Gu clan were alarmed. After seeing that one of them was Gu Yao, they hurriedly formed a seal and sealed off the battlefield. On a mountain peak deep within the Gu realm, Gu Yuan seemed to have sensed something. He looked in the direction of the battlefield and involuntarily frowned. How is this possible? He was clearly an 8-star Do Huang when I brought him back. Less than 4 hours have passed. How did he become a 6-star Dozun? Gu Shan also looked at the battlefield. His face was filled with shock. It should be related to Boss Chu. Within a short 2 hours, he was able to raise an 8-star Do Huang to a 6-star Dozun. Just how did he do it? Gu Yuan muttered to himself. His eyes were filled with confusion. The next moment, Gu Yuan's figure disappeared from the mountain peak. Gu Shan behind him immediately broke through the empty space. Open mountain seal! See flipping seal! At the same time, Gu Yao's hands on the battlefield continued to form seals. Numerous powerful palm seals flew out and smashed toward Xiao Yan from all directions. Xiao Yan did not show the slightest panic in the face of the energy palm seals that were rushing over. He lifted his hand and randomly waved it. However, this seemingly careless wave of his hand shattered the many energy palm seals that Gu Yao had unleashed. Bang, bang, bang! Loud explosions continued to appear on the battlefield. This Xiao Yan is actually so strong! From the looks of it, it is reasonable for Sun Heir Xiaojie to like him. That's right. Even when fighting against the general of the Black Submerged Army, Gu Yao, he is not at a disadvantage. Moreover, if we were to talk about age, Xiao Yan is much younger than Gu Yao. Putting it this way, even if the two of them were to end up in a draw, Xiao Yan would actually win. The surrounding Gu clan members began to discuss as they looked at the battlefield and the sky. Gu Yao's expression clearly became uglier when he heard the clan members around him praise Xiao Yan. Gu Yao widened the distance between them with a buzzing sound. After which, he beckoned with his right hand and an ice spear that was agglomerated from ice crystals appeared in his hand. Sun heir is mine! You are just a descendant of a desolate small family. You do not even possess the deep blood. What qualification do you have to be worthy of her? Gu Yao's dense cold voice sounded. The clan tattoo between his brows lit up with a red glow. At this moment, his aura soared. Chapter 162. Thousand Beasts Spear Technique. In the battlefield, Gu Yao's eyes flashed coldly. After he shouted, he stomped his foot in the air. In an instant, Gu Yao appeared above Xiao Yan's head. The ice spear in his hand danced quickly. Within the spear's shadows, there were countless beasts roaring, shaking the heavens and the earth. Beast King roar! Thousands of spear shadows appeared. Gu Yao shouted once again. At the same time, his spear technique changed. Suddenly, countless spear shadows gathered together like lightning. On the ice spear, a vast amount of fighting energy surged out like floodwater. In an instant, it formed a ferocious beast phantom. Gu Yao stabbed his spear and his target was Xiao Yan. It's time to end this. Xiao Yan's expression did not change as he looked at Gu Yao, who was attacking him with a spear. After his indifferent voice sounded, he raised his right arm slightly. Subsequently, his right hand turned into a claw. In an instant, the energy in the world gathered crazily at the center of his claw. Xiao Yan extended his claw at Gu Yao. Everywhere it passed, the void was instantly torn apart. At this moment, the vast energy in the world moved with Xiao Yan's claw. The buzzing sound was terrifying. A loud bang was heard. A huge energy claw that was hundreds of feet long extended from Xiao Yan's 5 fingers. The moment the energy claw came into contact with the ice spear that Gu Yao had stabbed out, it shattered the spear easily. After which, it continued to extend toward Gu Yao. How? How can this be? Gu Yao's eyes shrunk when he saw his strongest move being shattered in an instant. He stared in front of him in disbelief. After recovering, Gu Yao gathered all the energy in his body again. However, just as he was about to dodge the energy claw, the latter released a strange fluctuation. Under this fluctuation, Gu Yao and the space around him were instantly imprisoned. In the next moment, under Gu Yao's horrified gaze, the energy claw shrunk to half a meter long. However, its power did not decrease. Instead, it increased. It grabbed Gu Yao's throat firmly. Gu Yao is defeated, defeated! Looking at Gu Yao, who was unable to move, being held by the energy claw in the sky, the spectators gradually came to their senses. As the murmurs fell, everyone stared at Xiao Yan in a daze, flabbergasted. Little guy, since the battle is over, you should stop. A ripple appeared on the battlefield, and a figure slowly appeared. With a wave of his sleeve, the energy palm that was holding Gu Yao down dissipated with a bang. The Patriarch is here! Recognizing the figure that appeared out of thin air on the battlefield, the spectating aboriginals hurriedly bowed respectfully. Greetings, uncle. Xiao Yan restrained his aura and bowed slightly towards Gu Yuan. Daddy, you are biased towards Gu Yao! Xiao Suner glared at Gu Yuan with hidden bitterness. If Xiao Yan had been defeated just now, I would have made a move as well. After Gu Yuan glanced at Xiao Suner, his gaze swept across the clansmen who had gathered below. The battle is over. Let's disperse. Looking at it now, this Xiao Yan is indeed worthy of Miss Sun Heir. That's right. Who would have thought that even Gu Yao was no match for him? As the spectators left, they continued to discuss the battle between Gu Yao and Xiao Yan. What's the name of that move just now? After everyone left, Gu Yuan looked at Xiao Yan. What's with your cultivation? Uncle Gu, The move that I used just now is called Dragon Catcher Hand. It's a level 9 product that I bought from Boss Chu. As for my cultivation, it's all thanks to Boss Chu. Xiao Yan did not hide anything in the face of Gu Yuan's question. After understanding the details, Gu Yuan came in front of Chu Bei and said with a smile, "Boss Chu, I wonder if I can give it a try too. It's closed for today. Moreover, the products that I'm selling now won't benefit you much." Chu Bei replied. Hearing that, Gu Yuan was stunned at first. Then, he laughed loudly and said, "Come and try again tomorrow." The next day, Gu Shan had been waiting in the hall of the mansion for a long time. "Boss Chu, this year's Void Trade Fair will be organized by Yao Clan. Let's set off now." Seeing that Chu Bei had arrived, Gu Shan immediately spoke. As Gu Yuan had told him that he had failed to test Chu Bei the day before, Gu Shan was treating Chu Bei with even more respect. "Thank you." Chu Bei nodded at Gu Shan. Yao Clan was located in Shenong Mountain Range, which was at the extreme south of Central Region. Although Shenong Mountain Range was located at the border of Central Region, as the saying went, it's not the height of a mountain. Although Shenong Mountain Range was filled with poisonous insects and various rare ferocious beasts, due to the existence of Yao Clan, the area was still quite lively. Moreover, as the mountain range was rich in various rare medicinal herbs, many alchemists came from far away to look for rare medicinal herbs. Therefore, Shenong Mountain Range was very popular in Central Region. At that moment, Yao Mountain, which was located at the center of Shenong Mountain Range, was extremely lively. This was because the Yao Clan was holding a Void Trade Fair today. The Void Trade Fair was held once a year and only the members of the ancient clans could participate. Simply put, the various clans would take out some treasures and bid or barter with each other. From then on, each clan would obtain what they needed. At that moment, the peak of Yao Mountain was surrounded by clouds and mist. A strange pill fragrance spread, causing one to feel relaxed and happy. It was as though one was in a fairyland. Patches of medicinal herbs were gathered together on the peak of the mountain like a sea. An incomparably huge square was suspended in the sky above this sea of medicinal herbs. There were 4 huge medicinal cauldrons at the 4 corners of the square. Pill fragrance rose from them and smoke rose into the sky. At that moment, there were already many people standing on the huge floating platform. Many lively conversations were continuously being emitted, making the place appear extraordinarily lively. "Greetings, clan leader." A bell chime suddenly sounded amidst the noise. Soon after, all the members of Yao Clan on the huge platform stood up from their chairs and bowed. Orderly and respectful voices spread in a mighty manner. One could see the clouds churning above the huge platform. A white-robed, white-haired, old man slowly walked out. Waves of strange ripples were emitted from the space where his feet landed. The invisible space seemed to have agglomerated into a substance at this moment. Yao Dan, peak of the 8-star Doshin class, clan leader of the Yao clan, one of the 8 ancient clans. "Everyone, since you have already arrived, what are you waiting for? Your actions will cause the old me to feel that I have not received you well." Yao Dan sat on the leader's seat in the square. He fondled his beard, swept his eyes around him and spoke in a faint voice. "Huh! Could it be that the people from the other clans have already arrived?" Yao Dan's words had just sounded when all the experts from the Yao clan in the square revealed a surprised expression. The weakest amongst them was an 8-star Do Zone. There was even a 4-star Do Xing elder among them. However, they were unable to detect the presence of others in the empty space around them. All the experts from the Yao clan exchanged glances with each other when they thought of this. There was only one possibility. The leaders from the other clans were all 4-star Do Xings and above. "You are indeed worthy of being the head of the Yao clan. We have only just arrived and you have already discovered us." Sure enough, not long after Yao Dan finished speaking, an aged and loud laughter suddenly resounded in the air, and then a red-robed old man with a goatee slowly walked out from the ripples, and there were a few people following behind him. 3 groups of people appeared from different positions in the empty space after the red-robed, old man's group appeared. Although the leaders of these three groups were wearing different colored clothes, all of them had white hair. They were all old monsters who had lived for an unknown number of years. Yen clan, Lei clan, Shi clan, and Ling clan. On the giant stage, when the Yao clan elites saw the four groups of people, they quickly recognized them through their robes. The areas have already been arranged for everyone. All of you can take your seats. Yao Dan's eyes swept over the old men leading the four clans. He pointed to four areas. Clan head Yao Dan, may I know if your Yao clan has left a spot for my Hun clan? A sinister laughter that caused one's scalp to turn numb sounded from the empty space after the Yen, Lei, Shi, and Ling clans had just taken their seats. Yao Dan frowned when he heard the voice. The expressions of the leaders from the other four clans changed. Black clouds appeared in the originally clear sky after the sinister laughter sounded. The black clouds turned into a black-clothed, middle-aged man. A low humming sound was emitted from the entire Yao mountain following the appearance of this man. It was like the wail of a soul. A couple of clusters of black clouds strangely appeared after the black-clothed man appeared. Each cluster of black clouds transformed into a figure. All of them had powerful auras. Hun Chien Mo, hasn't your Hun clan withdrawn from the world? Why have you appeared here? Yao Dan's eyes landed on the black-clothed man as he questioned. Clan head Yao Dan, there are times when we have no choice but to come out. Otherwise, the people outside will forget about my Hun clan. Hun Chien Mo's body was deep. He landed on an area near the stone platform after speaking. Yao Dan's expression was a little grave when he saw the people from the Hun clan take their seats. However, he did not chase them away. After all, the other party was indeed from an ancient clan. Hun Chien Mo, your Hun clan has been causing a big commotion on the continent recently. You are going around snatching souls. What are you planning to do? You are doing something that will make the entire world your enemy. The leader from the Lei clan looked at Hun Chien Mo and frowned. We have received news that the faction called the Hall of Souls was flattened by a mysterious merchant yesterday. The leader from the Shi clan carried a smile on his face. My clansmen have personally witnessed it. According to him, Boss Chu's strength is at least that of a 6-star Doshing. Looks like the things that your Hun clan has done have caused those experts hiding in the dark of the continent to be unable to continue watching. The leader from the Yen clan echoed. His words were filled with ridicule. Hun Chien Mo's expression gradually became gloomy when he heard the mocking words from the other clan leaders. However, he did not reply. All he did was coldly snort. After which, he shut his eyes. It was as though he was waiting for something. Now only the Gu clan is left. Yao Dan's eyes swept around him. He had just finished speaking when he suddenly lifted his eyes and looked towards the east. One could see the empty space split apart amidst a buzzing sound. A couple of figures walked out from the crack. Everyone, the journey is long. Please forgive us for being late. Gu Yuan cupped his hands together towards Yao Dan. After which, he greeted the leaders from the Lei clan, Yen clan, and the other three clans. His expression hardened when his eyes swept over Hun Chien Mo. The Gu clan has also arrived. Quickly look at that fellow. He does not have a clan tattoo on his forehead. If he is not someone from the ancient clans, who is he? He is the one who destroyed the Hall of Souls alone. What? He is that Boss Chu. Initially, everyone in the open ground revealed confused expressions when they saw that Chu Bei did not have a clan tattoo on his forehead. However, their faces were filled with shock when they found out that the other party was the one who had destroyed the Hall of Souls. Boss Chu, we meet again. The leaders from the Yen clan, Lei clan, Shi clan, and Ling clan stood up and greeted Chu Bei at the same time. Chu Bei nodded in response. These four leaders were the four elders who had appeared above the Hall of Souls to watch the battle. They were all 6-star Doshings. You are the one who destroyed the Hall of Souls and killed Hun Yexing? Hun Chien Mo stood up from his chair and coldly stared at Chu Bei. A murderous intent surged in his eyes. Why? Do you want to take revenge for him? Chu Bei smiled as he looked at Hun Chien Mo. His expression showed that he did not care about the other party at all. Do you know the consequences of going against the Hun clan? The murderous intent in Hun Qianmo's eyes became increasingly intense. A large amount of black fog began to surge out of his body. His aura became increasingly terrifying. Hun Qianmo, this is my territory. If you are prepared to attack here, I will definitely not sit back and do nothing. Yao Dan coldly snorted. The aura of an 8-star Doxing immediately spread and scattered the black fog around Hun Qianmo. Hun Qianmo withdrew his aura when he met Yao Dan's cold in the forest eyes. After which, he looked at Chu Bei and said, "Cherish the little time you have left." Hun Qianmo returned to his seat after saying this. Chu Bei smiled. His expression did not show the slightest bit of panic because of Hun Qianmo's threatening words. "Everyone, since everyone is here, let's begin the trade fair." After Yao Dan's words sounded, the Yan clan, Lei clan, Shi clan and Ling clan successively placed the treasures that they had prepared for the trade fair on the trade table in front of them. Although there were no treasures in front of Chu Bei, there was a 1-meter-wide golden disc. The disc was divided into 10 regions, and each region had a square box with a different color flickering on it. In addition, there was a silver pointer hanging from the disc. There were 7 large words engraved on the tip of the pointer. Level 10 Wheel of Fortune. When Chu Bei summoned the wheel, the other ancient clan's experts instantly focused their attention on him. As the Void Trade Fair was held every year, the other clans were already used to it. Because of this, Chu Bei, who did not take the ordinary path of trade, naturally became the center of attention. Soon, the elders of the various clans led their clansmen to Chu Bei's table. "Boss Chu, how do you want to trade? What treasures do you have?" The elder from the Yan clan sized up the Wheel of Fortune and could not help but ask. 8 million going once. Everything. As for what it is, it's random. Chu Bei's gaze swept across the curious crowd as he spoke. The price is still acceptable. I just don't know if the treasures are worth it. The elder from the Yan clan did not hesitate to take out 8 million and handed it to Chu Bei. Buzz, the golden disc vibrated. Immediately after, a whirlpool appeared in the center of the disc. A strange devouring power swallowed the 8 million that the elder from the Yan clan took out. Chapter 163. The system has obtained 80,000 willpower points. The host has obtained 40,000 willpower points. After the system notification sounded in Chu Bei's mind, the silver needle on the disc started to spin crazily in front of everyone's eyes. Ding! The silver needle stopped at one of the 10 regions on the disc. Immediately after, the square box in the region stopped by the needle flew out. At the same time, another square box appeared and replaced the one that flew out. Boom! With a loud sound, the square box exploded. Thank you for your patronage. 4 bright words appeared in the region where the square box exploded. After a short pause, they turned into a rain of light and dissipated. This is? The Yan tribe elder pointed at the words. Thank you for your patronage. As I said, I have everything, including this. Thank you for your patronage. Chu Bei looked at the Yan tribe elder with a smile. Hearing Chu Bei's words, the Yan tribe elder's face twitched slightly. He looked as if he had been cheated by an unscrupulous merchant. Do you want to continue? I suggest that you open a set of 10 times. The chances of getting treasures will be higher. Chu Bei continued as he pointed at the disc. Okay, then let's open a set. The Yan tribe elder nodded and took out another 80 million. To the ancient races, 80 million was nothing. Ding ding. After the disc swallowed 80 million, the silver needle started to spin again. In a few breaths' time, 10 square boxes lined up in front of the Yan tribe elder and exploded at the same time. In the next moment 10, thank you for your patronage, appeared in the air, flashing with a beautiful light. The Yan clan elder's expression darkened as he looked at the row of identical words floating in the air. If he hadn't seen Chu Bei kill the Hall Master of the Hall of Souls with his own eyes, he would have gone berserk. 80 million wasn't much to him, but the problem was that he felt like he had been played. Thank you for your patronage again. Do you think Boss Chu is really a merchant? I don't think he's reliable at all. Yeah, 80 million just went down the drain. Sure. We'll know in a while whether it's true or not. The spectating experts from various races discussed in low voices. Boss Chu, can you give us an explanation? The Yen elder stared at Chu Bei and asked in a low voice. When he met the Yen clan elder's questioning gaze, Chu Bei cleared his throat and said, Don't be hasty, don't be hasty. Why don't we try a few more groups? The old man from the Yen clan lightly snorted. Then, he looked at the leaders of the other clans and said, This is the first time Boss Chu has participated in the trade fair between the ancient clans. I have already supported his business. Shouldn't you guys also express your gratitude? You're still as cunning as ever. The old man from the Thunder clan shot a disdainful glance at the old man from the Flame clan. Then, his gaze landed on Chu Bei as he said, Boss Chu, I'll just go through the motions and form a group. With that, the old man from the Thunder tribe took out 80 million. A similar scene played out again. Boom! 10 square boxes exploded at the same time. However, it was different from before. This time, 9 out of the 10 square boxes contained thank you for your patronage. The last one contained a sparkling and translucent thumb-sized elixir that was emitting a 7-colored glow. The moment this elixir was opened, a rich elixir fragrance quickly spread throughout the entire trade fair. Just by smelling a little of it, one would feel refreshed. Something has been opened. It's an elixir. However, it looks like its grade isn't low. I wonder what it's used for. Seeing that one of the square boxes contained an elixir, the surrounding spectators exclaimed in surprise. The ones who had the biggest change in expression were none other than the Yao clan's patriarch, Yao Dan, and the other clan elders. Boss Chu, can you let me take a look at this elixir? Yao Dan instantly appeared in front of Chu Bei. It's no longer mine. You'll have to ask the Thunder clan's patriarch if I can let you take a look at it. Chu Bei replied indifferently. Hearing this, Yao Dan's gaze immediately turned to the old man from the Thunder clan. Yao clan's patriarch, you can take a look at it, but you can't have any ideas about it. Sensing the burning desire in Yao Dan's eyes, how could the old man from the Thunder clan not know that he had opened a treasure? Although he didn't know the effects of this elixir, he was sure that its grade wasn't low. Otherwise, Yao Dan wouldn't have such an expression. Thank you. After getting the permission of the old man from the Thunder clan, Yao Dan immediately pinched the 7-colored elixir in front of him. He carefully examined it, and felt the energy flowing within the elixir. After a long time, High grade 9! Yao Dan spat out 4 heavy syllables. Yao Dan's voice wasn't loud, but these 4 syllables were like thunder in the ears of the crowd. What? Did I hear wrongly? That elixir is a grade 9, and it's a high grade 1. Since the patriarch has personally appraised it, it shouldn't be wrong. Oh my god! 80 million to obtain a grade 9 high grade elixir. The great elder from the Thunder clan has really made a killing. Not to mention grade 9 high grade elixir, even grade 8 high grade elixir is priceless. Say, where do you think Boss Chu got this grade 9 high grade elixir? Could he also be an alchemist? When they heard Yao Dan say the grade of the elixir, the crowd was stunned. Following which, an uproar broke out as they looked at the old man from the Thunder clan with eyes full of envy. The most excited person was the old man from the Thunder clan himself. From Yao Dan's attitude towards this elixir, he knew that the grade of this elixir wasn't low. However, he never imagined that it would be grade 9 high grade elixir. Boss Chu, can you introduce this elixir to me? The old man from the Thunder clan carefully took the elixir from Yao Dan's hands. He looked at Chu Bei with anticipation and nervousness. This is called the Battle Sage Elixir. As long as a battle sage consumes it, his or her cultivation will break through by 1 star. Chu Bei said faintly. After he finished speaking, he once again looked at the old man from the Thunder Clan. It must be said that the old man had the constitution of a European emperor. The higher the grade of the spinning wheel, the lower the chances of getting an item of the same grade. He did not expect that the old man from the Thunder Clan would actually get a grade 10 Battle Sage elixir after spending 80 million. Boss Chu, from your words, it seems that an 8-star Doshin can break through after consuming it? The old man from the Thunder Clan looked at Chu Bei with surprise. Although they were both Doshings, there was a huge difference between 1-star and 8-star. I have already explained the effect of this elixir very clearly just now. As for whether you believe me or not, you will know after you try it. Chu Bei glanced at the old man from the Thunder Clan and said. The old man from the Thunder Clan was stunned. He looked at the 7-colored elixir in his hand and hesitated for a moment. After which, he threw it into his mouth in front of countless pairs of eyes. Currently, he had just stepped into the 6-star Doshin class. If the effect of this elixir was as the other party had said, it would not be a waste even though consuming this elixir would not maximize his benefits. If this elixir was ineffective, he could ask the other party for an explanation in front of so many people. Rumble rumble when the old man from the Thunder Clan swallowed the Doshin elixir, a deafening roar immediately sounded above the bazaar. Soon after, the empty space became distorted and a couple of thunderbolts that carried a terrifying aura appeared. Majestic natural energy surged out from the thunderbolts. Finally, it flowed into the old man's body like a river. At this moment, the aura of the old man from the Thunder Clan began to rise. The old man from the Thunder Clan hurriedly suppressed the energy fluctuation in his body after sensing it. Bang! A couple of seconds later, a low muffled sound was emitted from the old man's body. He has really broken through! When the aura of the old man from the Thunder Clan stabilized, the expressions of the leaders from the other clans changed. The few of them had similar cultivations. Due to them having stepped into the Doshin class earlier than the old man from the Thunder Clan, their auras were a little more powerful. However, the aura of the old man from the Thunder Clan had clearly surpassed them. Clearly, he had successfully broken through and stepped into the 7-star Doshin class. Boss Chu, thank you very much. The old man from the Thunder Clan cupped his hands toward Chu Bei as he sensed the surging energy in his body that had risen to another level. His face was filled with gratitude. You are lucky, Chu Bei replied. Hearing Chu Bei's words, the old man from the Thunder Clan smiled as he looked at the old man from the Yan Clan. Old man Yan, I should be the one thanking you. If it were not for you, I am afraid that I would not have spent this money. Fortunately, I am not like you and have done so many immoral things. Otherwise, I would also be thanking you for your patronage. The old man from the Yan Clan glared fiercely at the old man from the Thunder Clan and let out a cold snort. Boss Chu, if my Hun clan wants to make a deal with you, you should not reject it, right? Just as the elders from the other clans were about to turn into two groups, Hun Qianmo stepped in front of Chu Bei. The corner of his mouth was lifted into a cold smile. Who would go against money? Chu Bei lifted his eyes and looked at Hun Qianmo. His expression was indifferent. You are really magnanimous. Hun Qianmo's cold voice sounded. He directly took out 80 million and threw it in front of the whirlpool on the spinning wheel. Ding! The needle spun. 10 square boxes exploded. All of them were thanking you for your patronage. Two groups. Hun Qianmo calmly glanced at the 10 thanking you for your patronage and threw out 160 million. The needle spun. 20 square boxes exploded. All of them were thanking you for your patronage. Three groups. Hun Qianmo frowned. However, he did not say anything and took out 240 million again. The needle spun. 30 square boxes exploded. All of them were thanking you for your patronage. After witnessing this scene, the restless expressions of the surrounding experts were clearly much more restrained. Are you sure that the product you can open is random and not controlled by you? This time, Hun Qianmo could not help but question Chu Bei. Small business, honest management. Facing Hun Qianmo's gaze, Chu Bei's emotions did not fluctuate at all. All right, for groups. Hun Qianmo took a deep breath. As if he was trying his best to suppress the anger in his heart, he took out 320 million. The needle spun again. However, the atmosphere in the arena was obviously solemn. The originally noisy crowd, perhaps because they were afraid of Hun Qianmo, no longer made a sound. Instead, they quietly looked at the spinning needle. 40 square boxes exploded. This time, 39 thanking you for your patronage, and one of them was a purple gold soft armor. Seeing that there was a treasure, Hun Qianmo's tightly knitted brows slightly relaxed. Tell me. Hun Qianmo stared at Chu Bei. At the same time, he pointed at the purple gold soft armor with a trace of expectation in his eyes. Level 7 commodity, sky silver armor. It can defend against all attacks under 9 stars Do Huang. Chu Bei glanced at the purple gold soft armor and said indifferently. Only 9 stars Do Huang? Han Qianmo's face became gloomy again. He could not help but clench his fists. The expectation in his eyes disappeared. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.